Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day, another episode of 30 NSG, The Daily Grind. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Greedfall. Two developers are going on strike. Alleged studio management treats workers like a galley of slaves. We'll talk about that. That article comes from IGN. We're going to be talking about the future of Blue Protocol. Blue Protocol. There is no future. That's the future. There is no future for Blue Protocol. And then we're going to talk about Star Wars Outlaws early access players are being asked to restart with new saves. Oh boy, can't wait for that. And then we're going to watch a video from Legendary Drops. He's talking about Concord and, just the industry as a whole. If you guys like what I do here, I do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. We just cover news stories, entertainment stories, have conversations with live chat, give you my thoughts and opinions, and just get you past a couple hours of your day. If you're working, if you're at home, if you're exercising, whatever you're doing, I'm going to get you through the next 2 hours of just having fun, hanging out and having conversations. So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. What's going on, chat? What's going on, Travis? What's going on, Dustin? What's going on, Roic? Water Bear, Eclipse, Mo, Robert Jones. Good morning. Good morning. What's going on, Nate? Drummond, what's going on? All right. So let's start off. Start off with Blue Protocol. Okay. Now, I wasn't interested in Blue Protocol at all. Okay. Excuse me. It says the future of Blue Protocol is Bandai Namco Online announced that that they have made a difficult decision to end service of Blue Protocol. Now, chat, you're gonna have to fill me in here. Isn't Blue Protocol in early access or beta? Like, it's not even out yet, correct? It's supposed to be a free-to-play game, and now it's not even coming out at that point. It says, we will shut down the Japanese Blue Protocol servers in January of 2025 and have end plans to release the game in West in collaboration with Amazon Games. In the statement announcing the end of service, Bandai Namco Online said, we've enjoyed a strong relationship with Amazon Games throughout the development of Blue Protocol, and both of our teams are disappointed that we will not be able to deliver the game to players around the world. We know this is a disappointing news, and we share this your disappointment. We love the world of characters of Blue Protocol, and there was also excited to become players around the world. And also, we joined Bandai Namco Online, expressing deep gratitude and the passionate fans who follow Blue Protocol development, participated in the closed technical tests. We have great respect and appreciation for talented teams at Bandai Namco and wish the team success of their next endeavors. They says Bandai Namco Online full statement about here. All right, so let me see if they have. Okay, the English. So they've already said it. All right, so we already read it. So here is yet another game in early access beta. Now, again, I'm gonna have to go to you guys. Okay, I have to go to you guys for this. Did Blue Protocol have any microtransactions in any way, shape, or form, or was it a standard early access test? Not a AAA access test where the store works just fine. Was there any microtransactions? Did money exchange hands in any way, shape, or form for Blue Protocol? Because if not, cool. But if so, there's massive problems with this across the industry. Okay. Let's see. It really hurts. I've been waiting for this game for like 6 years and never released here. I think it was in beta in Japan. Travis says a shit ton of microtransactions. So was there microtransactions in the beta, or was there going to be? Because obviously it was a free-to-play game. Yeah, this was an MMO, Jones. This was an MMO. It was supposed to go everywhere. It was on Amazon. Amazon, they did Lost Ark. They did the Blue Protocol. Didn't they do... There was another game they're doing. They're doing a Lord of the Rings. Amazon's, like, big into MMOs. They're trying to bring over. Brad says, so Mike, is Outlaws as mediocre as they're saying? I mean, I'm liking it. I wouldn't say it's mediocre, but I guess mediocre, is the norm. you know, like a 70%, 75 to 80%. Are they offering refunds? Not that I know of. Not that I know of. Travis says, as far as I heard, there was microtransactions on the beta. All right, well, here's how I'll reference this then. Okay. There's major issues, and again, I'm not saying they have, because I don't know, right? In this morning show, I just read the news for the first time and then have conversations with you guys about it. I am not a news source. I am not a news thing. I'm not saying this is what they did. I'm giving my opinion based on what we just read. Okay. So another game, MMO, okay, an Eastern MMO that was coming over to the West, which is Blue Protocol, is being shut down. Okay. It was in early access or beta for the last year. I believe it came out in 2023, at the end of 2023, and then it was in early access or beta up until this point, and will close on January of 2025. So meaning it was out for about 1 year, 13 months, 14 months, whatever it is. Now, if a game asks for money in early access, and we're talking about Towerborn yesterday, that comes out, you know, for early access, for Founders Packs or whatnot, I think there is okay if you know ahead of time that there's a possibility that this game is not going to come to fruition. Now, I think that's okay if you do a Founders Pack, and maybe they did a Founders Pack. Again, chat, you're going to have to fill me in if they did stuff like this, because I looked and I couldn't find anything. Maybe it was like a closed thing. But if they asked for like a Founders Pack for Blue Protocol, and those people knew, then I don't think they need to get refunds or anything like that. But if it was open beta, and you could go play this game, and you could purchase microtransactions in the store for cosmetic purposes or whatever, and now the game is closing down, I think 100% they should give refunds for that, because those people were under the presumption that this game was coming out, and they're like, I'm going to invest in this game because I get to play with this. But now you don't. Now, obviously, if they didn't charge microtransaction, then no harm, no foul. It was just a test, a beta. People could play it and give them information, because they don't pay for testers anymore. They would rather... but if there is microtransactions, then I think those people need to get refunded. But, you know, that probably won't ever happen. Cybersword says, it was a full release in the East, just a closed beta here in the West. I do not think they had microtransactions in the beta. Right, I can't get a clear answer, Cybersword, if there was microtransactions or not. Again, just the nature of the way I do my show. I try to do some searching beforehand, but we really just read the news and then give my thoughts and opinions on it based on what we read. So I couldn't find anything if there was, you know, microtransactions or not. So that's why I'm giving both sides, right? If there was microtransactions, I think they need to give refunds and whatnot. And if there was a Founders Pack where you knew, hey, I'm a tester, this game may come out, may not come out, then those people knew what they were getting into, and then everybody else afterwards should get a refund. Robert Jones says, I gotta watch Ginger Prime's video to get the scoop. Yeah, he was very excited about the game. I know that. Actually, does he have a video? If it's short enough, I'll bring it up. Eclipse says, in Japan, it was full release, and yes, had microtransactions in the beta that was here in America in the EU, but it was also just closed beta. Not everyone could get in. Robert Jones says, full release in Japan, but English version had to close down. No, they're closing everything down. They're closing the Japanese servers. They're closing the game down. The game is done. There is no future for Blue Protocol. Waterbear says, the best method for doing microtransactions is how PoE does it. The second best I've seen it, the first Descendant. You can either grind by the Descendant, or you have more money than time to grind. Sure, but I just feel like, especially with these online games, right? These online games where you need to be online, and you pay money, and you have to be online, and those microtransactions, you don't know how long it's going to last for. One of the reasons that I would never buy a microtransaction in Suicide Squad is because that game is dead. It's dead. We know that once they're done with giving all their content out, that game is done. Okay? The people that bought Marvel's Avengers back in the day, that bought all those cosmetics, okay? And then they gave it free for everybody now. Now everybody can get those same cosmetics that those people paid for. That's scummy, right? There's something wrong in the industry where the people that pay, and we'll talk about this in the other stories going forward. There's a problem in the industry where people that pay the money up front because they trust or they love the company, they trust the company, they love the game, the IP, and yet they get shit on the most. And those people are okay with it, I guess. I don't understand. And if they are okay with it, and the people that don't do it are not okay with it, we get punished for not partaking in it because, one, the greed factor, the companies that look at this and say, well, we could put a $110 game out there, $130 game out there, and we don't have to finish it, right? We don't have to fix it. We can charge microtransactions. We don't have to complete it. We can only keep it open for 1 year, and you don't get to keep the game afterwards, after the game's done. There's lots and lots of problems in the industry, and everyone's okay with it because the people that are okay with it and buy it, it sets this precedent. And then all the companies look at it and go, yeah, that's what they're asking for. And the people are like, I don't want to buy that game because it's broke, buggy, unfinished. It's in early access or beta. They got microtransactions and the game's not even out yet. Like, there's so many different problems. let me see if let me go to Ginger's channel.
Hello and welcome everyone.
Let's see. I don't think he has a video up yet. He might be getting one. Yeah, he doesn't have one up yet. Yeah, he's got one scheduled for 12:30 today for Blue Protocol. So he'll be talking about it at 12:30 today for Blue Protocol. Nate says, the first Descendant, I bought all the Descendants, and now I don't even play the game anymore. I tried it, but I just can't get back into it. Yeah, but Nate, I have a question. Why? I'm trying to get the question I want to ask you, right? Because I don't know if you're complaining that you don't play the game anymore. Are you admitting that like you're okay spending the money and like you're okay spending the money and also not playing the game, right? You're not upset about it. Are you upset that you spent the money and you're not playing the game? I guess that's my question. Are you upset that you're not playing the game after you spent the money, or are you okay spending the money? Because the way each their own. The way I play games is, like, I won't buy a battle pass unless I know I have the time to put in the game. And if I complete the battle pass, then I'll buy the battle pass, right? But I won't buy the battle pass ahead of time just in case I don't finish the game or something goes wrong where I just don't like it, right? Not really upset. I just thought I would enjoy it and still up in the grind. It's too much to me. But okay, so based on what you're saying, now do you see where I'm kind of coming from? Like, as a person that doesn't want games to do this, and you're a person that's okay spending the money, and now you're stopped playing the game. Now the people that are playing the game, the people that are making the game and the people that are playing the game, okay, are different now. Because the people that want to play the game don't like the game because of the microtransactions. And then there's people, and I'm not saying you specifically, but there's a group of people, an audience out there that pay for games and then don't play the games. But it sends a signal to the company going, this is what they want. This is what they're paying for, and they made money off of you, and then you don't play the game, right? You paid money and didn't play the game, which is different than if you bought a game for $60 instead of a free-to-play game, right? You buy the game and play the game or put it down, but there's a game there to play. Where a cosmetic is you're paying for it, and then you don't touch it ever again. So the company's like, that's what we want to make. We're not making a game anymore. We're making content for people who buy in the game that they're not going to play. East Vandal says, write your legislators. Is this, okay, this is his video from today.
So online, I've been seeing a lot of comments, concerns, questions, and some frustrations about the recent updates from the Blue Protocol devs regarding monetization. And I want to sit down and address it with you guys today and talk to you guys about it.
When was this?
Because this is actually very...
Oh, this is from 1 year ago. That's from 1 year ago. Yeah. That's not... I mean, I know it talks about monetization and stuff like that, but that's from 1 year ago. I want to know now what's happening now. Yeah, that's not helpful. I appreciate you putting that in there, but that's not going to be relevant. Cybersword says, if I spend money in a beta and it shuts down, that is on me. It's full release and it shuts down. That's a different story. What? See, I find it a little different, Zyber. Like if you're going in for a founders pack, okay, a founders pack, and a founders pack is like you're helping that company. Like they're going, hey, we're putting a founders pack out there. Like Albion Online did it, Wayfair did it, or Wayfinder did it. Wayfinder did it. There's a bunch of companies studios that do that to help them make money because they're smaller studios. Totally get that, right? If you're getting an early access game or a beta game and they're putting it out there, and if it's free to play and they want you in the system and they're using you as a tester, and then they're asking you to charge for microtransactions, I think that's a no-no. First of all, they should put the microtransactions in there for free just to test out to see what people would buy or what they're interested in. But they should never, and then when the game starts for real, then they reset you. Okay? That way, no harm, no foul. You're getting testers for free. They get to test the game out for free. They get to test all the different systems out. That's the exchange, right? Founders Pack, you're like, all right, we're giving you all of this stuff, and that's helping us make the game. Early access or beta is the game is made, and then they put microtransactions in the game to fund the game, and then they're closing down, right? Like these companies know way ahead of time what their budget is, when the game's going to be released, when it's not going to be, everything you would at least hope. Otherwise, that's how you run a business, okay? And yet these guys are closing down, okay? And then nobody gets, and you're just out, which I think is bullshit. Mo says, I spent the money on cosmetics, battle pass, the descendant slots. I got like 16, 17 descendants, all grind. Travis says, 30. I'm truly convinced that gaming in 2024 is just whining about games people, not you specifically, don't even play. Well, me specifically, Travis, the reason I bring up stuff is because these companies have bad business practices, okay? And consumers have bad spending habits, okay? And the consumers are being taken advantage of from these bad companies, okay? Making a game, front load it, I should say, so it looks good. They put things behind it so after 2 hours you can't get a refund, and then after 2 hours when the game breaks, okay? Just like even though people are enjoying Wukong, okay, Wukong had a strict thing that you can't talk about anything after Act 2, and yet the reviewers were talking about it, they couldn't talk about anything after Act 2, okay? There's lots of business practices and shit maneuvers that they do in the video game industry, and this is why I specifically talk about what I talk about, to educate people that this is going on, right? You can spend your money how you want to spend, okay? And you also don't have to give a shit about what I say or anyone else says about a game that you like. But we talk about the business aspect of it and what the scummy business practices are about how they spend your money, how they try to make your money, okay? That's where I talk about. I don't give a shit, personally, Okay, and again, I know you're not specifically talking to me. I'm just letting you know, I specifically don't give a shit. If you buy the shittiest game on the planet and you're enjoying yourself, by all means enjoy yourself. That's not going to stop me from telling you it's a shit business model and it's a shitty company doing what they're doing. Robert Jones says, I don't see why they are allowed to accept microtransactions to early access. Because people spend money and they go, see, this is what people want. And that's the standard now. Now, again, I don't know if Blue Protocol had founders packs or whatnot. Founders pack is early access, not beta. Right. But early access is usually in the alpha, in the beta, and they're getting money from those people. Okay? Krebsy says, what do you want to know about Blue Protocol? I wanted to know, was there microtransactions, Krebsy, inside the beta early access in the States? Right? We know it was full release over in the East. In the West, was there microtransactions and stuff in the game? Roic says, not too long ago, you get a pattern down. It goes quick. You always want to go with the thing, and that's the lowest drop chance. It seems like that the more prices that are hard to get into, and the next one, when you get to the last one, you only have to do one left with the highest drop chance. Travis says, oh, 30, I was just saying people bitch about things before they even come out, and the people that I've seen saying that they are going to give it AC Shadows 1 because they don't like Ubisoft. Well, sure. Look, fans of games, regardless if they're not a fan of Shadows, but they're a fan of Ubisoft, or they don't like Ubisoft's business practices, okay? They have every right to complain about Ubisoft if they're going to buy that game or not. Now, it's disingenuous if they're talking about how shit a game is if they didn't play it, but they have more than every right to talk about how shady and shitty the company of Ubisoft is, and this is just yet another game that they think is coming out that's going to be like that. Every right to do that. East Vandal says, gotta love when your young gamers jump in front of the bullets for multi-billion-dollar corporations. That's why we have the Trash Night, Vandal. That's why we have that emote. This is the protector right here. This is the protector. That's a Trash Night. That's a kid playing a game from inside the trash can. Robert Jones says, Epic is still a shining example of shutting down their early access game, full refunds, and release assets. Probably wouldn't have done it without all the Fortnite money. Sarge says, a game is not a game, it is a portal to a store. This is what I'm buying. If the game makes more money in the store than its sales, then in the store it's not a game. It's just bought the entrance fee. Right, you just bought the entrance fee to get into the store. Cyber Sword says they would not sell micros if there were no consumers for micros. If it's the same with all subscription services. If it was lucrative, they would not do it. Right, Cyber Sword. But what I'm saying is, if the game is in early access, there should be no microtransactions in the game. And if there is microtransactions stored in the early access or in the beta or in whatever, okay, then it should be. What game recently did that where you had? Oh, First Descendant did this. First Descendant, when it was in early access and closed beta, they had their store open. They gave you money inside the actual thing to spend on the microtransactions and whatnot because they were testing to see what cosmetics people like, what sold the most, and all that stuff. They gave that for free, okay? Then once the game came out, they reset it, everybody. Nobody had those microtransactions in their vault or whatever. They just had the game now. Now the game came out as a free-to-play game, and now they unlocked a couple of things. Okay, they unlocked a couple of stuff that you can earn in the game and get cosmetics, but you had to purchase them now. Okay, That's okay to me. Because in the closed beta and early access, they had a store in the game, but they didn't charge you actual money in the game. Because if the game shuts down at that point or doesn't come out by that point, maybe they had a terrific problem or horrific problem where the studio had to close down. Now no one's out any money except the studio itself, not the people that actually put money into the game. Okay? I have a fundamental issue with companies, and again, I'm not saying Blue Protocol had this, okay? But if you're charging for microtransactions in a game and now your game closes down, that's a problem. That's a fundamental problem. Dolphin says, and everyone bought the Ultimate Bunny, and they knew what we wanted. See how testing works? Yeah. Robert Jones says, half the games seem to just justify early access as a shield for unfinished products. Yes, and this is why I talk about how it doesn't matter if it's early access, beta, closed beta, right, or gold. They use all the same tactics. Early access, there could be microtransactions and storefronts. Beta, there could be microtransactions, storefronts. Broken buggy, by the way, because they're in early access or beta. And then the game comes out, and it's still broken buggy. And there's microtransactions. You know what's never broke or buggy? That fucking cosmetic store works perfectly every single time. That money exchanges hands seamlessly. It's amazing. Roic says, unfortunately, my friend got me playing the new World of Warcraft expansion, and it's been a few years since I played it and played it last, and I was shocked on how different it was. When you say different, is it good different or bad different? Roic says, I will say that the First Ascendant is very respective of the community. Seems like it so far, right? I give them enough rope to hang themselves, though, Roic, because as of right now, the First Ascendant does seem like they're respecting people's time and whatnot a bit. They're changing things. I haven't been back since I couldn't get my drop rate because it's not actual 20%. Okay. Roic says, good. Lots of quality live stuff. Okay, good. I said if World of Warcraft comes to console, I'll probably jump back in. My whole thing on this channel has always been about corporations don't give a shit about you, and they just want your money. And I'm just trying to show you the different ways they try to get your money, okay? If you're okay giving a company $100, $110, $130 for the same game that you're going to get 2 months down the line for $40, cool. You don't have to defend yourself to me. Go enjoy your game and play your game. I'm making points and communicating with people going, look, you shouldn't buy it at this price, right? Because they don't care. They're trying to get the most money out of you as possible. In our next story, okay, is the 3-day early access topic, okay? Now, I'm playing Star Wars. This is not the quality of... this is not a talk about the quality of the game, okay? The specific story I'm about to bring up just popped up this morning, okay? And it's about... Read that title. Read that headline. Let me make it nice and big for you so you can read it, okay? It's the business practices of these companies that don't give two shits, and this is why you shouldn't pre-order games, because if the game is broke, buggy, and unfinished behind the scenes, and you pre-order it, they go, hey, we made all our money back, and then they don't really have to continue working anymore, okay? If it's a 3-day early access, which is actually 1 day, it's actual release day, now there's like a second release date, okay, which is the original release date, okay? Okay. This is the reason that when Ubisoft puts out a $70 version, $110 version, $130 version, and before the game even comes out, okay, we've been playing it for 3 days because of the $18 on Ubisoft Plus. I tell people, do not buy the $110 version. Do not buy the $130 version. They're like, no, but it comes with this, and and they love me. Ubisoft loves me. They want me to play their game, and I love their game, and their game is so good, right? And now there's stuff like this, okay? If you guys like what I do here, we talk about gaming stories, have conversations, talk with live chat, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. We do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern, okay? Star Wars Outlaws. Early access players are being asked to restart with new saves. Think about this. They asked you to give them $110. They asked you to give them $130. You got that game 3 days early. You've been playing it since maybe Monday, maybe just yesterday, okay? Maybe you put 10 hours, maybe you put 15 hours into it, maybe you put 20 hours into it. You're playing your 3-day early access that you have, right? You're playing that 3-day early access, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way, you might have to start over, you early access guys. But thanks. I really appreciate it, right? Okay. So due to a day one patch, Ubisoft has asked all Star Wars Outlaws early access players to start a new save. Get the fuck out of here. Okay? No, this is real. This is real, Kylo. Okay? Star Wars Outlaws Early Access has kicked off with Gold and Ultimate Edition players enjoying 3 days of early gaming in Ubisoft's new open world title. However, the progress made during this time could be wasted, as the developers have asked players to update the new game with day one patch and start fresh with new saves. And this is right here when I go, give me my money back. Now, I am not a sucker. I paid the $18. I got Ubisoft Plus day one, started playing it, got even earlier access because I flew to New Zealand, okay? And I canceled my Ubisoft Plus the same day I got it because I know that I'm done when I'm done, okay? And they're not going to get me for another $18, okay? Because I don't trust these companies as far as I can throw them, okay? Those of you, you don't have to admit it, but 100% are suckers for buying the $110 version, $130 version, okay? And you can try to sell it to me as well, I'm going to enjoy playing the game and I'm going to do this. It doesn't matter what you feel. The company doesn't give two shits about you, okay? And your early access period is basically nil and void, okay? And at that point, okay, you should ask for your money back, because what is the point of a 3-day early access, okay, if you're not getting 3 days early access? They shit on your time. Number one rule for me, respect the player's time. Respect the player's time, okay? So, however, the progress made during the time could be wasted, as developers have asked the players to update the game in one patch with a fresh new save. After the new patch dropped, Star Wars Outlaws Gold and Ultimate Edition players on the PlayStation 5 were sent an email stating that that's the best way to experience the Outer Rim was to play the latest version. The developer added that the players in the previous versions of the game might experience some issues due to the newest patch. If you remove the release date, early access, then you better remove the first day patch 3 days early, okay? This is fucking comical. This is fucking comical. Okay? This is so stupid in so many levels. Okay? And you guys can pretend to defend him all you want, okay? I'm having fun with Star Wars Outlaws, okay? But let me tell you something. If I paid, which I would never do, $110 or $130 for 3 days early access, okay? I would gas my money back, and I would never play the game ever again, because I can't trust the company that tried to sell me on a $110, $130 game. Okay? Okay, so hence, they asked the early access Star Wars Outlaws players to update to versions 1.000.002 and start with a new save to fully enjoy the game. Also, the developers have warned that if players continue to play on the prior save, they will unfortunately face issues and progression blockers. Yeah, that's correct. So the $18 that I paid, I only paid $18. And at this point right now, okay, I'm really considering myself, do I want to do it again? because now what do I have to do? I have to go, okay, well, it's only 15 hours. Okay? But now I got to go back to the start, because if I continue going forward, there might unfortunately faced with issues to progression blocker. Okay? So now this is that screen that pops up that says okay, and now I'm like The Verge. Do I hit okay and accept the terms, or do I just back out? Okay? Therefore, the players have to let go of all their progress until now and start again, or else they could face even more significant problems later in the game. However, this could be cumbersome for players, as many might have been invested hours into the game. In other news, check out the Insider Gamer Star Wars Outlaws Achievement and Trophy Guide. Fuck you. Okay? You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up, chat. Okay? The fact that the matter is that you earn your money. You come back and all you want to do is play a video game. You just want to respect your time. You want to support whoever you want to support. You pay the $110. You pay the $130. You're like, I love this game. I love this franchise. I love Ubisoft. And then they do this. And then when something like this happens, now you're all sitting here going, that's pretty shitty. I have to defend them. Well, it's only 10 hours. Yeah, I wasn't that far along in the game anyway. Oh, I'm having a good time, so it doesn't really matter that I can play it again. I would have played it anyway. I was going to go through multiple playthroughs anyway. Oh, I'm absolutely loving it. It's the greatest thing ever, right? Like, spin it how you want to spin it. But the facts are that this is a shitty business practice that people keep buying, that people keep doing it because they're going to keep doing it. This company, next company, they're like, hey, remember that time when Star Wars put out 3-day early access? They got that extra $40 out of people, and they made them reset the game? Good times, huh? I'm debating, Jason. I'm debating, and I only paid $18. Now, see, here's the difference. I paid $18, and I already canceled, so they're not getting another $18 out of me. Okay? And as a content creator, I'm like, I'm going to play the game because I want to see it. And I didn't lose $110 or $130. But I did lose my time. And it doesn't take very much for me to be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm done. I'm really holding back right now to say, like, and I'm enjoying myself. Right? I'm debating. Like right now, tonight, I was going to play Star Wars Outlaws. But now, I'm going back to Borderlands 2 and playing with Sarge and anybody else because I'm not going to go back. I got to think. I got to stew on this. I got to stew on it. Maybe I'll play it after a stream for like an hour or so to see if I got resetted, if it updated, because I don't even know if it got updated. All right, let me see what you guys are... Let me see what you guys are saying. Eclipse says, yeah, Ubisoft is much better than FromSoft. FromSoft never makes you pay for early access. Never had anything like this happen. Let's lose early access players in 3, 2, 1. It's fucking ridiculous. 3-day fake early access and functioning as a real early access. Amazing. Consumers are literally a dog dragged around the park on a leash. Jack says Ubisoft screwed this up big time. No rectifying this. And this is only people's time. For most of them. Right? The money, people are like, it's not a big deal. I was going to play the game anyway. Right? That's how they're going to defend it. Vandal says, no, admit it. I want to see you, who you are. That's literally the reason people buy it. That's false advertising, but are all saved because they also still played the game. That's right, Kylo. They had the 3-day early access. They just have to start over. It was like it was an early access alpha beta test, right? Chris says, thanks to CD Projekt Red's hype trailers and early release for Cyberpunk 2077 back in December 2020, I'm glad that I'm no longer pre-ordering games. Chris, congratulations for joining this side of insanity, okay? Like, the sane people on this side, okay? It's been 4 years pre-orderless. Congratulations. Cybersword says there no Ubi game is worth $70 and above. Wait for sale. Sarge says defend, defend. Defend, defend, Trash Knights. Philo says I haven't pre-ordered a game since GTA 5. I believe. What's going on, Hendrick? Or Henry, heck. What's going on? Rowick, what's going on? Oh, I already said hi to Rowick. Let's see. It doesn't start a new save. Gets to last boss, and it just pops up. Prompt says, sorry, you have to start over. The final boss was added in the day one patch. Can you imagine? There's no difference. There's no difference between this and what Marvel's Avengers did. I got to the final boss in Marvel's Avengers back in 2020 or 2021, whatever the fuck it came out. I got to the doorway to get into the final boss, and it wouldn't open. It was broke. Broke. Played all the way up to the final boss. Couldn't get into the door. I had to wait 14 days for that game to get fixed. Instead of ad blockers, it's progression blockers. That's right. Jason says, don't forget to pre-order, guys. Pre-order. This is what quadruple A gaming is all about. That's right. Nate, pre-order Space Marines 2 and Outlaws. Keep being you, Nate. Keep being you. Congrats. If I didn't play games because of shitty business practices, I would never play anything. All businesses do scummy shit. There you go. There you go. Travis Defender. Trash Knight. You just said that if I didn't buy any shitty stuff, then I would never play anything. Wrong. Wrong. There are games out there that do not do this. Right? There are companies out there that do not do this. Krebsy says, if this info was only from Insider Gamer, I'd be hesitant to believe, but I see IGN and Eurogamer also converting the topic. Well, there's nothing... It doesn't matter about Insider Gamer. There was literally a tweet. Literally a tweet sent out by Star Wars Outlaws. When us old guys say we need to stew on it, that means we mean business. That's right. That's right. I got a fucking stew on it. Altern says it's been 4 years, 30. I will never forget about the broken boss of Avengers. Sticks with you. It sticks with you. Pre-order. It's a broken game in your neighborhood. What are you going to do? Pre-order. That's right, Altern. That's what you going to do. Pre-order. Oh, man. It's amazing. I'm not overreacting, chat. I'm not overreacting. Okay? I know some people just look at it and go, it's no big deal. I just started the game, right? I just started the game. First of all, here's another thing. If you're buying the 3-day early access and you're not playing on day 1, why are you buying the 3-day early access? Why are you giving them an extra $30, $40 to play early if you're not going to play it the earliest possible? Yeah. The tweet is still up. Yeah, the tweet is still up. Get early access. Kurt says, I so wanted Outlaws to be good, hearing mixed reviews. I have about 10 hours, 11 hours into the game. Okay, Kurt, I'm having a good time with the game. I should say it in past tense. I was having a good time in the game. If you like stealth games, there's a lot of stealth in this game. If you like Star Wars and you're a Star Wars fan, I said the last 2 days, from day 1 of my talk after 5 hours and then after I played yesterday, okay, the game is not a bad game. It's far from a bad game. There's not many glitches. There's fun little things, funny little things that happen, sort of like a Bethesda charm type of stuff, like stupid things, but no game-breaking bugs that I've come across inside the thing. We had some audio issues where a guy that you knocked out is still talking and stuff like that. It's not perfect in any way, shape, or form. Okay, the game itself, visually, it's beautiful looking, except for Kay, whose face melds and molds by the scene. Okay, by each cutscene. The pacing is slow. The wide open stuff, there could be more to do. If you like Ubisoft games, if you like the Assassin's Creed, it's basically like a Hogwarts Legacy Uncharted meets Star Wars in a Ubisoft game. Okay, and that's what it is. Right? I recommended not getting it for $70, but if you're a huge Star Wars fan and you have to buy it, I would say it's worth the $70 for you. Okay, but I would recommend people waiting for it to go on sale or get the $18 for Ubisoft Plus. But the stipulation is when you get Ubisoft Plus, like, get it and then cancel right away. So you have just that 30 days. Lono played Tuesday and said he started playing it after and got the patch, and I started after him, so you should be good. You should be good. Until you get to that point in the game, Dolphin, when you're like, sorry, do you have 1.0000.0002? Make sure you have that. I don't know when mine upgraded. If it upgraded yesterday before I played, then I think I'm good. But I'm not good because I still have about 6 hours ahead, right? Right? Eclipse says, no, you have 0 hours in the game, 30. That's right. I had 15 hours in the game. I saw a comment in Twitter that said, only played 5 hours, I can restart. I was like, if in 3 days you only played 5 hours, why do early access? Yeah, I don't know. Crowded House said, kind of funny games dunked in Outlaws hard. I was actually surprised at how much they hated it. when I listened to I listened to that yesterday, Crowded. When I listened to them talk about it after playing 10 to 15 hours myself, I thought they had some good criticism, but at the same time, a lot of them, first of all, I don't know what's his name, the one that was sitting next to Greg, Andy, I think his name is Andy. He played like 4 hours. So what he was talking about really has no bearings whatsoever. Same with Tim. Tim barely played. I think he had 4 hours in it. One guy finished it, and then I think Greg said he finished it in 15. So two of the people actually finished it, and they finished it real fast, right? And in a game like that, I can't trust anybody that finishes a game that fast because they finished it I'm still on the one planet, right? I'm still on one planet. This is why I don't trust game reviewers, most game reviewers from these other corporations, okay? Because I'm on one fucking planet. One planet. And I've been on that planet for 10 and a half hours. I've upgraded almost 3 of the characters that I've met and got all their abilities and stuff. Okay, they kind of like run through it and say like there's nothing to do and it's just whatever. And I'm like, that's correct if you run through it. And the example I'll give is if I speed run through a game and don't know any of the hidden areas or any of that, and I skip through the cutscenes and whatnot, you'd be like, yeah, it was nothing really caught me. It's like, well, no, you're just doing it so you could do a show, so you can monetize the show. Okay, that's my issue with a lot of people that do reviews. Even Jason Schreier made an article saying that they didn't give enough time for people to review the game, right? Even though people are throwing through the game, and if you can't do 15 hours or 20 hours in a week, that's your fucking job, first off. I don't know what you're doing. If you don't have enough time to play the game where you have 7 days and your job is to play video games, to review them, and you don't have enough time to review a game and then write something, is beyond me. But then again, I don't do reviews. I play the game in real time. You come in and ask me questions, and I tell you my honest opinion based off of it. Sarge says, no big deal, bro. Like to throw money in the trash. As a matter of fact, I opened up a relationship with my wife. With my wife is going to really well. I enjoy playing child support for a kid that isn't mine. Mike, did you not play Suicide Squad Early Access? Jojo, I played it because my brother-in-law gifted it to me. And when he gifted it to me, I was like, ugh. I was like, I'm sorry. Because he doesn't know anything about video games. And he bought, because he knew I liked, and there was the new game coming out, he gave it to me for Christmas. And I was just like, I told him straight up, I said, don't ever buy me a game. I said, don't ever buy me a game again. I said, you want to give me a gift card or something? By all means, go ahead, but do not give me a physical game again. I don't like anyone giving me anything because they don't know if I like the game or what my thoughts are on the game or whatnot. But yeah, I played it. Roadkill says, yeah, I'm playing Star Wars Outlaws, giving another go, not going to work today. And serve legs cramp. Fucking kidneys are dying. Sorry to hear that, Roadkill. So basically, Star Wars is who I thought it would be before it released, 30. And I said this is and I stand on it. Shadows will be a better release title for Ubi than Outlaws. Shadows is going to get, you'll be very surprised to see, I don't think Shadows is going to do as good as everyone thinks it's going to do. I don't think it's going to do as well as you think it's going to do. I think it's going to do good, but I don't think it's going to be like gangbusters for him. Dolphin says, I'm going to be on that planet for another 10 hours now. Aaron says, I don't beat games when they do beat games, then they run through them. I just watch your favorite streamers do a playthrough, and the media persons are often too shifty. Yeah, they run through them as fast as possible. They're disingenuous when they talk about stuff, and they're bringing up drama to bring up drama, right? To talk about it like, oh, did you see this? Like, I don't care about the SBI stuff. I don't care about that stuff about Star Wars. I don't think that's part of it. I do think they fucked up graphically on her face. I don't know what the hell they're doing with it. Okay, it changes all the time. It's the Jerry Seinfeld syndrome, 1000%. Okay, the game itself is a good game. Not a great game, a good game. I think it needed about another 6 to 8 months of bake time to flush out certain systems in that game. But 2024. Reddit says, I think the main criticism was that the game has lots of systems that could have been interesting, but none of them are done well. Luna said the same thing, similar. Yeah, I said the same thing the first night. I was like, everything is good. It's not great. Like, the gunplay is good, but it's not great. The sneaking is good, but it's not great, right? Everything is just kind of like, let's get it out the door. It's in good state, but it's not in great state. UK Gamer says, the early access issue with PC, or is it just PlayStation players affected? It's with the patch. I don't know if it's PC or console. It's if you have, UK Gamer, if you have, let me find what the patch is. If the patch is numbered, so make sure you have 1.000.002. Look at the last 3 digits, 002. If you have 002 when you load up the game, you should be fine. If you haven't played yet. If you played already and now it's 002 and you don't know when it updated, then you might have a problem later in the game. Friendly bet. I bet the sales are 10 to 15 million, or I'll give 10 free subs. Well, here's the problem with that, Water. If it sells that many, then they'll scream from the rooftops and tell you it's 10 to 15 million. If they don't say anything, then how do you know? You see what I'm saying? So I'll take that bet. I'll take the bet, but it's going to be really hard to tell because it has to sell 10 to 15 million, and they have to be super ecstatic about it to admit that. But if they don't say anything, then you'll never know. I think Water is saying that out of the gate, quality of the gameplay will be much better than Outlaws on release. I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's just going to say that it's going to be more popular because of the samurai and stuff. Now, that's coming from Water Bear, when Water Bear's a huge... he loves the Japanese culture and whatnot, right? So I think he's got a little bias going into him saying it's going to outsell more, but I think it's also getting shit on more because of the SBI and all the other shit. And then if it doesn't sell well in Japan or it doesn't sell well overseas, you know? Titan says, I'll be surprised if Shadows does worse than Outlaws, but we don't know what Outlaws has done. We don't know the sales of Outlaws. They're not going to tell us the sales of Outlaws. If you're saying public perception, well, how do you measure that? Well, Roadkill, are you... I don't know how long you're in the game, but there's an ability that you can get. When you get caught, you have like a little timer to push the right 3, like you push it in, and you put your hands up, and you do this like quick little like bullshit talk, and it breaks that. So it gives you like an extra couple of seconds to break it to get free of being caught. So, see, I want to know, because in that example you just said, right, that stuff is aggravating. Kind of funny, it said that certain things, you didn't have to do with the upgrades. They did like 2 of the gun upgrades or whatnot. They didn't really go into effect if they got any of the abilities from the people that are around the game. And they said it was frustrating on certain things, but certain abilities that I got now make those things easier. So, for instance... The slicing and stuff is much easier now than it was before I had the upgrade ability. But people that are just running through the game, they're not talking about that stuff because they just ran through the game and said, it's not really, a good game or whatnot. But yet there's systems in the game implanted in there that make the game better as you go. Like, you're leveling up. When you guys say that it will do better than Outlaws, what measurement are you talking about? Sales? People playing consecutively? Like, what are you guys saying that it'll be better than Outlaws? One, we won't know the consecutive player base because it's not on Steam, right? Outlaws is not on Steam. Two, they won't share the numbers because why would they do that? So there's nothing that we can measure on. Unless it sells a shit ton. At least one guy said that Outlaws looks beautiful on PC. PlayStation 5, not so much. I think it actually looks really good on the Xbox. Right? The first night we played on performance mode. The second night we played on quality mode. I think the game looks good. It does. Maybe it doesn't come across that on stream, but when I'm playing it, it's gorgeous. How can a patch make it where you start over? Ubisoft should just have found a solution when they created the problem. Yeah. I guess try to put it out. It's so stupid. They should have put that day one patch out on day one early access, not before day one. Or launch day one. What are your numbers, 30? 8 million? For Outlaws or for Shadows? Crowd says, I think it will sell better. I just don't think we'll know those numbers. I'll be honest with you. Unless those games sell really well, they're not going to share those numbers. Shadows is going to sell better. We just don't know the numbers from Outlaws. We may not get the numbers from Shadows either. Yeah. So to say that it'll sell better, put it in perspective this way. Assassin's Creed's got, what, 16 games total? And Star Wars has 1. So, yeah, there's a fan base for Star Wars, okay, but not a fan base for Star Wars Ubisoft games. You know what I mean? So to take that bet of saying, yeah, I think Shadows will sell more, but you can't prove it, you know? We will measure public perception by Asmongold's opinions. Sounds good. In that case, I do think they'll do 10 million through, especially across all platforms, especially Ubisoft sales seasons, aka months after release. Well, here's the thing. How will you tell the sales if people are getting $18 a month? You can't say sales for Starfield, for Game Pass, so how are you going to do the same thing with Ubisoft Plus? Right? I don't count as a sale for Star Wars. So how do you measure that? Because you need 5 people to get Ubisoft Plus for the one person that paid 110. You know what I mean? Or the 70. UK sales charts only work for physical games. Outlaws is not selling physically. It's only selling digital codes. And then even when you buy the physical copy, I think it's a digital code, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, you're saying, if you're saying quality, okay, so are you saying that it'll do better score-wise, like Metacritic-wise, Water? Does it feel like Star Wars? Yes. Yes. The world that you drive around and the people you interact with and the whole thing, yes, it feels like Star Wars. Because you can't say the Assassin's Creed is bigger than Star Wars franchise. Here's the thing. The Star Wars franchise is big in movies. The Assassin's Creed franchise, or movie, is not as popular. The Assassin's Creed game that's been out every single year for like the last 17 years, okay, is a bigger franchise than Star Wars Outlaws. Okay, that's the difference. It's not just Assassin's Creed versus Star Wars. Yes, Star Wars is a bigger brand in movies. Okay, in movies, not in video games. Yes, Star Wars games sell well. Okay, hence why they charge the extra Star Wars tax, the Disney tax on these things. Okay, but Assassin's Creed is a huge franchise. Okay, when you type in Star Wars, yeah, Star Wars, but you have to put Star Wars Outlaws. It's one game. One game. Even Star Wars Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order only sold, I think, 5 million copies and 7 million copies. Lifetime. I don't even think Survivor sold that many. I think it sold like 3 million. That was the last time they shared. It says, the only thing I can see as the quickest to pass 500 million on revenue. For best-selling Star Wars game in 2024, Ubisoft Plus subscription increased 300% during the launch of AC Shadows. Lots of numbers info. Right. Lots of no info. Roadkill, you say, yeah, my dumbass paid 120, but that also counts as one copy, right? That counts as one copy. Nate says, crowded. I like that the black guy, there's not a whole lot of game with black guys as the lead role in games that I played. And me, being a black guy as a samurai was pretty cool. Sure. But you understand why there's criticism with that game, right, Nate? It's not because it's a black guy. It's about a black guy that they're telling that it's supposed to be a real true story, but they're fictitiously making certain things up with the character, and they're not following historical stuff. And Japan, we talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago, about Japan's a very culture, heavy country. That's why there's backlash there. It's not because it's a black guy. It's because it's the black samurai during a time frame where people are saying he is one thing and they're saying he's another. That's why. You can make a black character in video games. In most games, as a RPG and stuff, you can make whatever character you want. You can make a purple guy. Right? Ubisoft Plus is a huge thing. Right? You got people paying $120. That counts as one copy. And then I paid $18. What does that count towards? Yeah, she does a heavy fist. I call her K Mallet Bess. She's got like a mallet. When she punches someone, her hand must be like, she must have practiced by punching a wall for like 18 years of her life when she hits people over the head. I heard in kind of funny games that they talked about that she gets a taser later in the game. And I thought to myself, why didn't she start with that? Because it would make much more sense. Like, if you're going up to a regular person and you punch them, cool. But she's punching people in armor. And for me, it does kind of take you out of the moment. Like, it would be more interesting if she, like, jabbed them in the neck or something like that. You know what I mean? Titan says, black guys as a lead role in games is a comparison with the Asian guys in the lead roles in games. You know what the crazy part is? The black guy stole an Asian role. That's crazy. That's crazy, Titan. That's next level. Right? Not enough black guys in lead characters. Not enough Asian guys in lead characters. And yet a black guy stole an Asian guy's part. That's crazy. Man. But the guy actually lived there, which I thought was interesting, but people don't really know a lot about. I'm not going to pretend to know anything about him. All I'm saying is I reference back to Japan. If Japan's upset about their culture in a video game, there has to be some reason there. I don't give a shit about any person in America going, a guy was a samurai. No, he's not. Yes, he is. I don't care about any of that. Japan goes, I don't like the way you represented our country. It's not real. And they're like, well, we made the realistic thing. And they're like, no, you didn't. Papa says 30 AC has had some regular sales up at around 10 million, but I'm not expecting Wukong level of sales of Shadows. Also, as a franchise, AC has sold 200 million plus copies. It's massive. I know. That's why I said that AC as a whole is gigantic. Star Wars Outlaws is at 1. Star Wars, the franchise, is big. But Star Wars Outlaws, the video game, is at 1. Post says, get early access as well. God, I love me some Game Pass. Well, I'm telling you, every day the industry goes by, you look smarter and smarter because people out here spending $120, $110 pre-ordering 3-day early access and all this other stuff. And you're just Game Pass. Game Pass. Doesn't matter if it's broke, buggy, unfinished, $20 a month. Say what you guys want to say, but Game Pass, $20. Not broke, buggy, and unfinished, $120. $20. Upper Echelon said, white dude invented Yasuka, as I think that's how you pronounce his name. There's also almost none that much info about him. And also, the dude invented the story. I mean, fantastic. You know? I don't know if I'm going to jump in on Call of Duty, Mo. I don't know if I'm going to jump in on it. I haven't played this. I haven't played a story mission in, like, I might, just not on the 30th, right? I don't know if I am. I haven't played a story mission in Call of Duty since 2009. Modern Warfare 2 Original was the last campaign I played. Yazuka. If Concord had a Game Pass thing, it would have had 2 to 3 times as many players. That's right. It would have had 1,200 people. Oh, man. Sorry. Kicking it while it's down. I might jump in. Was it the 30th? And then Space Marines 2 comes out on the 9th. And I still don't know if I'm getting that day one. All right, let's talk about the next story. Hold on one second. Greedfall. All right, so guys, like what I do here, we just cover topics, news stories, Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Greedfall, two developers are, I'm sorry, not two developers. Greed 2 developers are going on strike. The studio management treats workers like galley slaves. Okay. So the developers of upcoming fantasy role-playing game Greedfall 2 have announced plans to strike in protest of management just a few weeks before the game comes out. Oh, wait a minute. A few weeks before the game comes out. Going on strike. What are they? Wait a minute. Before they even read this rest of this article, right? The game. When is the game supposed to come out? When is this game supposed to come out? Oh, for God's sakes. A month? What are they going to do when they go on strike? What are they going to do? Be like, we're not going to finish the game. They're like, okay. Did you just see what happened? The game's out broke buggy anyway. Oh, for God's sakes. It is 1 month. For God's sakes. Anyway, let me continue. Paris-based studio Spider, which also developed Technomancer, published a open letter signed by 44 of the 95 staff to the studio management, including CEO. Spider's wholly owned the publisher Nacon, which is IGN, has asked for comment. Now, the open letter details several years of known problems, which have been greatly amplified over the past year with the arrival of the current head of the company. Instability, opposition, and also anticipating problems in security working conditions, global mismanagement, turnover and recruitment problems, unacceptable delays in achieving gender equality, and partly important lack of transparency, denial of problems, refusal to acknowledge worker representation, and blocked negotiations. Oh boy. And you're talking, and you're making this known now, 1 month before the game comes out. Bravo. Yep. Being compliant for how many years? Okay. Specifically on Greedfall 2, workers allege that it suffered a difficult production and there was a widespread anxiety, okay, of a loss of interest amongst employees. The staff has also said that they're going to suffer significant crunch working on the game. Quote, for many of it, it translates into fear of releasing a disappointing game and the end of feeling ashamed of their own work. Well, I can tell you, if they feel that way, you probably shouldn't pre-order. You probably shouldn't pre-order. You probably shouldn't get 3-day early access. I don't even know if there is 3-day early access. Okay? You probably shouldn't do any of these things. Because if the developers are coming out just a month beforehand and say that they are ashamed over their own work, and the workers said for some, it's the last straw that pushes them to look for work elsewhere, then do it. Okay? Then do it. Elsewhere in the document, the workers claim that Greedfall 2's budget was reworked multiple times, and the early access release postponed several times. Okay? Quote, management, given the impression of treating us like a galley slaves in the hold of a ship, rowing on without knowing either the route or the destination of the journey. The workers said spiders feel like a ship sailing with no one at the helm. Greedfall 2 currently has an early access release date of September 24th, 2024, with a plan to release the game in full less than a year later, according to the staff. That seems unlikely. Whoop! 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 There. Ship's going down. Ship's going down. Do not play this game early access. The actual developers that are going to be still working on this game, okay, the early access comes out, okay, September 24th. The release of the game is not until a year later, but they don't even know if they're going to continue working on this. So this looks like it's going to get delayed. This looks like not only could it get delayed, but it looks like it'll probably not complete. Okay. Which, from our first two stories, works great, right? Works great. So the staff published a list of demands and outlined a plan to strike the week of September 2nd. Picketed will also held in front of the company's offices and online, a Minecraft server created for the occasion. The staff said the spider strike comes amidst a growing labor movement within the video game industry, and the workers seek to protect themselves from the mass layoffs and the threats posted of AI. In July, Starfield developer Bethesda Studios became the first Microsoft studio to fully unionize under the Communication Workers of America, forming a wall-to-wall union developers, including the artists, engineers, programmers, and designers. Sega, the American union, also has a contract earlier this year, and Activision QA workers announcing that the union of their own. So yeah, so if you're excited about Greedfall 2, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. This might go the way of Blue Protocol. This might go the way of Redfall, where the staff, if they don't get what they want or stop being treated the way they are, they're going to stop working on the game. This is going to make the game delayed regardless. Now, early access is September 24th. I wouldn't be surprised in the next couple weeks we hear that this game on September 24th, early access, gets pushed back a little bit. Or they just go full steam ahead and release the early access because it doesn't really matter. It's early access. And then the delay itself will get pushed back past 2025 into 2026 or indefinitely or gets canceled. So, yeah, like danger, Will Robinson. So Greedfall 2, if you guys are looking forward to Greedfall 2, I would keep my expectations pretty low right now because they're still 1 year out. They were doing early access on September 24th, but these devs, 44, half of the studio is going on strike, which means the whole studio is going on strike because I don't think you can operate under half unless their staff is like the Twitter staff, and, who knows then. All right. Let me know your thoughts, comments in the live chat or in the comment section down below. What do you think about Greedfall 2? Are you going to pre-order? Let me know if you're going to pre-order. Okay? Let me know if you're going to get the pre-order. Let me know if you're going to get the early access. Let me know if you're going to get the Founders Pack. I don't know if any of these things exist for Greedfall 2, but if you watch the rest of the show, you'll understand why we're saying it. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and if you like what I do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. Oh, boy. Let's see. Let me see. Wait, the game is done? Why the hell would they care the dev strike? No, it's not done. That's why I was confused, Mo. This is why you get my real reactions when we read the article. I don't read these articles ahead of time. I literally read them for the first time on stream and give you my thoughts and opinions. That's why I was like, why the hell would they care if they go on strike if the game's done? But the game's not done. It's going into early access, and they have to complete it within the next year. Roadkill said, Lono just predicted that we're going to come out and say Space Marines 2 is 30 frames, and that would suck. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me. See, I would be surprised if Space Marines 2 came out and it wasn't at 30 frames. Do you see where my expectations... We started this whole year off with expectations lowered than everybody else. Okay? I said this in Discord the other day. I was like, I don't understand why people keep... Like, they're blown away when the next game that comes out is 30 frames per second. They're like, I can't believe it's 30 frames per second. I'm like, have you been paying attention? Like, sure, there's games that come out in 60 frames, but usually when they come out, because they don't have enough time to cook in the oven, they're at 30 frames and then they add it later, right? I mean, let's be honest, Space Marines 2 does have a roadmap, and it does have other access to come in, so if you get it early, they're just going to keep supporting it anyway. So they can add that. If it does come out 30 frames per second, they'll push in the 60 frames per second later. Again, we don't know if it's 30 or 60, but if it came out as 30, I wouldn't be surprised. And if it came out at 60, I would be surprised. Because that's the industry now. East Vandal says, Mo, no game is done on release now. Perfect time to strike because you're going to be updated after release. The game will then be broken and untouched for months. Bad look publicly. Yeah, but it's also not released, right? We know it's not released. It's in early access. Warning, Will Robinson. Warning, Will Robinson. Danger. Danger. Greedfall is fitting. Yeah, you never want to make a game with greed or fail. or fall in it. And this has got 2 words that you're not supposed to use: greed and fall. What if the workers are being petty and they aren't getting their sewing classes and comm rooms? Maybe. I mean, they did say certain things in there that I was like, all right, well. Lurker says galley slaves. I love when people use history to show how if they've never read history. Go on, Lurker. Yeah, no, I was confused, Jones, when they're like, we're striking. I was like, when does it release? I thought it released at the end of September. I was like, if it releases in September, the company ain't going to give 2 shits if you go on strike now, because what'll happen is they'll just let go of that group. They'll bring in people to just minimal viable product at the end, and then they'll just launch it. But thank God it's in early access. Right? Thank God it's in early access. They still have a year to finish it. So the strike actually does affect them. I thought the game came out. I was like, if the game comes out, they don't give a shit. Well, the developers give a shit. And they're like, it's going to look like shit. We don't want it out. They're like, we're going to put it out regardless. Pre-order. East Vandal says, I'm pre-ordering Greedfall 2 Ultimate Edition. What could go wrong? I mean, I think besides what we just covered with the other games, I don't think anything could go wrong, Vandal. I think it'll be perfect at launch. I think it could go perfect. It's what's the boys with Homelander? Perfect.
And I tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
That's it right there. Let's see. What Sarge says, okay, I just want the 9th generation game to go with my 9th generation system. Still waiting. Not asking for much. Travis, it's not that they're lying, man. It's not that they're lying. The people that lied are the people that made the systems. The people that lied are the people that are making the games. Okay? The boxes say 60 frames per second. The games that are coming out are 60 frames per second. The industry is moving backwards, not forward. Okay? You could be okay with playing 30 frames. I'm okay playing 30 frames. Okay? It doesn't bother me. Okay? I would like faster frames, but I can play at 30 frames. Okay? So much so I showed yesterday of the first day playing Outlaws, we played in performance mode, and then we played in quality mode. Okay? It's not about that people are lying that they're bothered by it. They want what they paid for. The reason you're paying for a $500 system and not a $300 system is so you can get all the frames. All the frames. Yeah, by all means, Travis. Get Greedfall day 1. September 24th, early access. Get it. Pre-order it. Get the Uber edition. Right? Even though the people that are making the game are going on strike, get it. I'm sure the game will be just fine. Just fine. Z says, released early access. Now you're probably going to get rid of every loser that it's more worried about the personal opinions of DEI in the place, and they can't take the next year, make it great. Maybe, Z. Maybe. Maybe they're playing 4D chess. They're trying to get rid of the people like that so they can make the actual game. Krebsy says, something somewhat connected to this is COD Studio Raven filed a labor complaint against Activision and Microsoft over refusal to bargain. Everybody says, name 30 frames per second title besides Gotham Knights, A Plague's Tale, Requiem. Once you find an answer, you will notice something. Most games, when they come out, Krebsy, and I know you're this is not your own mentality here. This is, I saw the video when Lona was talking about this. There are plenty of games that come out at less than 60 frames per second when they launch. Now, they implement 60 frames per second after the fact, okay? So... you could say Starfield, you can say Redfall, and you can make it a Xbox thing if you want to, but there are other games. I don't know off the top of my head here. I think Jedi Survivor wasn't fully 60 frames per second, and there was problems. There's plenty of games that come out after and make it 60 frames per second. Okay, but not at launch. Or they're not a true 60 frames per second either. I don't know if that's true, if Wukong was made by 30 people. I looked up the information for Game Science, and I think they're over 100 or 200 employees now. So I don't know if it was 30 people the entire 4 years. I could be wrong. X says, I'm not paying $70 for 30 frames per second. That's over with. Okuda Papa says, 30. When the console's released, the console could do 60 frames. The game industry moves much faster, and the console industry, Sony and Microsoft would also have to be updating their consoles every year. $40K? Oh, you're saying Jones, when you put 40K, I thought you mistyped it to saying 4K, and then I was like, is he talking about 40K, like, televisions? I was like, Jesus Christ, we're way off that. I was like, wait, you're talking about 40K Warhammer 40K. I like how Travis, you came in to defend Final Fantasy 16, but this is coming from a person that can't tell the difference between 30 and 60. I just find that I find that a little funny. You can't tell the difference between 30 and 60, but yet you're going to defend that Final Fantasy 16 was 60. That's a goalpost. That's a goalpost. Can you imagine what 40K would look like? Your eyes would be like, oh my god, look at the detail. Your eyes would water from tearing up from happiness. Right House says, I'm flabbergasted that Sony is not targeting performance with the Pro. They're going to be the box that lets you run ray tracing on your 30 frames per second games. Wow. They're also going to be charging more. overseas they're raising prices on their consoles, and I think the reason they're doing this is, and this is just my speculation, I think the reason they're doing this, they haven't raised it over here yet, but they're raising it overseas because overseas the PlayStations are selling much better. Okay, and the reason they're doing this is because PlayStation 5 Pro is supposed to be coming out, and I think the PlayStation 5 Pro is going to be upwards of $600, if not more. So they have to raise the price of the PlayStation 5s and the Slims so it's closer, so that people look at it and go, well, why would I buy a PlayStation 5 when they're $550 or $570 when I can get a new PlayStation 5 Pro for $600? That's what I think they're doing with PlayStation, but that's just my thought process. We'll see how that turns out. We'll see how that turns out. You know what? You're right, Z. Well, we'll have to move the goalpost. We move the goalpost. People move the goalpost. I have a goalpost. We'll move it. I pay for 3 scoops of ice cream. They only give me 1. Do you still pay for the 3 scoops? Do you still pay for the 3 scoops? No, you'd be like, hey, I'm missing 2 scoops on top of this 1 scoop. Okay. Four years into the cycle, Hilo. 4 years into the cycle and the price is going up. And if someone brings up inflation, I will time you out. If someone brings up inflation in the world and that's why prices are going up, I will time you out. You know what? I'll have Sarge time you out because Sarge loves timing people out. Okay? It has nothing to do. It has everything to do with greed. They're not selling cheaper. They're not selling cheaper. Their price is going from $500 to $570, and then $590 for the, or $90 increase on the PlayStation Slims, and $70 for the PlayStation, the disc drive one. Oh, I know, Argus. But people will bring it up. They'll be like, oh, they're raising the prices because it's inflation. Nice one, Z. Okuda Papa says, some games I can see at 30 frames, like action games, fast-paced games, stuck at 30 frames per second. I prefer 120 for action games. RTS can work at 30 frames. MMOs are good at 60. Sure, sure. Argus says, to be fair, the newer PlayStations have a little bit more storage than the original PlayStation 5, and this is why the price stayed the same instead of going down despite using less materials. In every cycle, the consoles get less, right? So if they brought the new one in, the new one would be $500, and then they would lower the price of $500 to like $350, right? They're not doing that this time around. The PSVR 2 is going up in price, I believe. Just the other parts are going up in price. But again, people know, they know their clientele. They know they're going to pay for it. Okay? And again, my theory is that they're raising the price, so when the PlayStation 5 Pro comes out, it's that when you sit in front and go, I'm going to buy a PlayStation 5 now, right? You come in, you're like, I don't own a PlayStation 5. I'm a PlayStation 4 owner. Or maybe I'm a PlayStation 5 owner. No, it would be a PlayStation 4 owner, or I don't own a PlayStation at all. And you're like, oh, sweet, the new systems are coming out. I'm going to go buy a PlayStation 5. They're raising the price of PlayStation 5s to a point where you're like, well, for just like another $60, $70, then I can just get the new PlayStation 5 Pro. But we'll see. We'll see how it works out. And again, they're selling way more over there than they're selling over here. East Vandal says a 20% increase is how they're going to cover the Concorde disaster. I saw an article. I can't find it. I saw in Twitter an article that said that it was like in $200 million loss. I was like, man, that's Suicide Squad levels. Oh, for 1,000%, Hero. 1,000%. They were selling regular PlayStation 5s for $1,200. If you don't think the PlayStation 5 Pro is not selling for $1,400, you're crazy on the scalping sites. All right, I want to watch Legendary Drops video on Concorde is the most embarrassing failure in gaming history, is what I want to watch. Okay, if you guys don't know Legendary Gaming, he's got a good channel. I like his stuff. He passed over 100,000. Wow, he's got over 100,000 subscribers now. He's doing some good stuff over there. I know Helldivers really pushed him up. So yeah, we're gonna watch Legendary Drops as he talks about Concorde is the worst game. Or most embarrassing failure in gaming history, and I'll give you my thoughts as we watch this. If you guys like what we do, we watch videos, read stories, give my thoughts, have conversations. Live chat's 1,000% part of the show. So let's get to it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button.
How many times over the last few years have you seen a game and said, "Who is this made for?" Concorde is one of the most beautiful, one of the most fantastic examples of a live service of a AAA failure that I have ever seen. It's even worse than Anthem. We'll be getting into that. But over the last few years, we've seen every AAA publisher and developer wanting to get into live service games, frothing at the mouth, feral at the opportunity to get their hands on some live service cash, line up the consumers to the content feeding trough and just start printing money. All the while putting out generic garbage games that nobody's interested in, and they don't care because they don't care about what you want.
Not.
They only have their eyes on the prize, which is the money. Torturing hundreds of millions.
I have a question. Can we raise him up to 1.25? Is that start at noon? Mo? Does that start at noon? Because I know Dune was coming out with something as well at noon.
Of dollars in the process. It feels so good to watch them fail. Today, what I want to do is I want to talk about the failure that is Concorde.
Is 1.25 okay for you guys, or are you just talking too fast?
I want to talk about how it failed, why it failed, but more importantly, I want to talk about this phenomenon that we're seeing in gaming right now, which is games that are seemingly made for no one. I cannot believe Sony saw this studio making this game and said, we need to buy this studio right now. Oh, Concorde, where do we even start? So, Concorde is a 5v5 hero shooter developed by Firewalk Studios, a game development studio that was founded by industry veterans who previously worked on games like Destiny.
The fact that they made this game 8 years ago, it still boggles my mind. Still boggles my mind. I feel like 8 years they had something else in the, like, they were doing something else with this franchise, and they changed it along the way. I can't imagine that this game took 8 years to make.
Firewalk was acquired by Sony Interactive Entertainment in 2021 as a part of Sony's strategy to expand its portfolio into live service games. They saw Concord as it was being developed and decided in that moment they must buy this studio.
Oh, man. Are you serious?
You serious?
Concord,
I love that. I love that meme. I use that meme all the time.
Helldivers 2, and Bungie's upcoming Marathon are all seen as pieces in Sony's effort to break into the multiplayer live service market, which has been dominated by games like Overwatch, Apex Legends, GTA 5, Fortnite, and more. Now, before Concord's announcement, there was some general interest. People were interested to see what Sony was going to do in live service. However, the moment that Sony revealed the game, all interest seemed to evaporate in an instant. In a 2023 PlayStation
Right, Vandal? It's like they got sold by Bungie. They picked up Bungie and ex-Bungie employees, two separate things, and then got dicked on both of them. Amazing.
showcase, a trailer was shown with an uninspired yet familiar cast of characters that seemed to be completely ripped off of Guardians of the Galaxy, and the developers placed the majority of the focus on how they were going to release episodic short films on a regular basis to be able to flesh out the character backstories and the overall narrative in a competitive shooter. When the actual gameplay was shown as well, it's about what you would expect, a $40 Overwatch knockoff with...
I'm sticking by it. The $40 is so tone deaf, especially if when they started making this game is when Overwatch came out. Okay, they saw Overwatch and like, let's make a game like that. So they started making a game like that. And then Overwatch is like, hey, we're going free to play. And they're like, we're coming out. We're going to charge $40. They did it. We can do it. Completely different landscape.
Generic gameplay, abilities we've seen 1,000 times, and forgettable maps and characters. Sony conducted a closed beta test for Concord in early July, followed by an open beta test in late July. These beta tests were part of the game's lead up to the official launch, intended to gather player feedback, test server performance, and build some anticipation before the game's release. However, despite these initial testing phases, the game struggled to gain traction even before its release in August.
And people were talking about the beta numbers were bad, and everyone's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. Hey, your house is on fire. Oh, that little fire? Fine. No, but we'll put that out. Don't worry about it.
August. The beta periods revealed how few people were interested in Concord, as the game struggled to break over even 2,300 concurrent players on Steam during its open beta. Critics pointed out that the game struggled to differentiate itself from other games in the genre. Issues with game design and just general gameplay, character uniqueness, and just overall lack of engagement on the side of the players. Concord also found itself in the crossfire of identity politics, with many on social media lambasting the game for its poor character designs.
I'm getting nauseous watching the gameplay footage. I am. Like,
the game's uninspired mechanics and lack of distinct identity led to its poor reception, and the game is now sitting at less than 700 concurrent. Change that. Less than 400 concurrent players on Steam.
I want to know something real fast. What's it right now?
Now, I want everybody to keep in mind this game.
Hold on. What's it right now? Okay.
Game is not failing because it's bad or that it's missing content or that it's broken. No, it's because nobody's interested in it. Nobody wants to have anything to do with the game whatsoever. It's funny that games journalists today are scratching their heads wondering why people aren't playing the game and how it failed so abysmally when it's pretty damn obvious. That's a story all for itself. But with that said, I'm just going to say the indifferent truth here. This game, the audience that it reached, the concurrent player numbers that you see for it are the realistic size of the audience for a game like this.
Right. The game that they created was for a market that didn't exist. Right? The game they created is for a market that doesn't exist. The people that want to play that game are playing another game. Not because it's an older game, because it's a game that they're enjoying, and what would make them leave the game they're enjoying to go play another game? It has to be fun. It has to have cool characters. It has to have things that they want that game that they're playing right now is not having.
This is the softest looking competitive shooter that I've ever seen. Those words don't even make any sense when you put them next to each other.
Wait, what was the words?
The concurrent player numbers that you see for it are the realistic size of the audience for a game like this. This is the softest looking competitive shooter that I've ever seen. Those
what the fuck does that mean? Softest looking competitive shooter.
Words don't even make any sense when you put them next to each other. Soft competitive? What does that even mean? When the only things that you have to differentiate yourself from the rest of the industry, from your competitors, which there are many and they are very popular, is that you're going to do narrative short films every month to flesh out your characters.
Yeah, that's another thing I don't get. Like, you're going to do weekly narrative short films?
It kind of feels like Destiny, and it has inclusive designs. Who cares? Nobody. Nobody asked for this. It's like you go to set up an ice cream stand right next to an ice cream shop, and the ice cream shop is giving away free ice cream.
He's using an ice cream analogy too today. That's fantastic. High five.
No strings attached. Free ice cream. Well, there's obviously strings attached, but free ice cream, all flavors. Knock yourself out. But your ice cream stand is selling $40 ice cream cones, and they're flavorless. Any nutritional value? Do I get like superpowers from these things? Or for $40? Are you serious? No, it doesn't do anything special. It's
just the same ice cream you can get over there for free.
Doesn't have any flavor. I want to make this clear.
But worse.
This game did not fail because of go woke, go broke, or even people being tired of hero shooters. This is a company with live service brain rot, and the people who made it lacked any clear vision and failed to deliver anything unique or interesting. Look at Valve's upcoming game Deadlock. Still in early development, and since its official reveal has almost 90,000 concurrent players.
Woo! Look at that. How diverse are their characters? How much inclusion do they have? I bet you they're just making really cool looking characters. Right? I bet you it's not in the marketing material. Oh, wait, there is no marketing material. It's just game fun. People coming in, playing fun game. Amazing.
And is still continuing to grow. The game has what many would consider inclusive designs, but the art style is distinct, and the designs are these interesting and cool noir fantasy characters. The game isn't just Team Fortress 2 or Overwatch. It's a hybrid of hero shooters mixed with a more definitive MOBA format, delivering an entirely unique experience to a very defined audience. There are people who want to play this, and there are more people who are interested in it.
Right. It's free to play. I think if Concord, even though it's going to go free to play, because I predicted that before it even came out, I said that it would still struggle. It would have a kick in player base because people will try it out, but it's still going to suffer because it's not doing anything different.
With Concord specifically, I think what we're seeing is the dilution of game design. While we've seen it over the years in other games, I think this is the clearest case.
Here's the difference, right? He's showing Overwatch here and how people are trying to copy Overwatch. We have another game coming out that's just like Overwatch, which is Marvel Rivals, okay? And the only difference, there's a lot of differences, but the main difference of Overwatch and what Marvel Rivals is doing is, one, it's third person, right? Other third-person games out there, right, to play. Then, on top of that, it's Marvel. It's characters that you like and already know, so it's like a cheat code. It's like you're putting something that someone's already interested in a game that's already people that are interested in. So now people are looking at Overwatch and going, oh, I like Overwatch. Oh, there's these other games, but I really like Overwatch. I don't want to go play Apex. I don't want to go play the other games, right? Oh, Marvel Rivals. I like those characters, and it feels like Overwatch, and it's third person. Oh, interesting. Right? So it's doing things differently. And then the mixture between the combos and stuff between the people, it's doing something different, but also similar.
I've personally seen. Concord is Overwatch. Overwatch's foundation is from Team Fortress 2. Team Fortress 2 came from Quake. The issue here is that these other games innovated in some way, improving on their predecessors to deliver.
Exactly. Innovated what they came from, made it better. Concord does none of that.
A unique experience all to themselves, while Concord's biggest selling points are that it's made by people that worked on Destiny, it has inclusive character designs, and it's using short films to deliver a story every month or so. There's no improvement, no defining trait that makes this game any more different than any other game that's out there, and it just doesn't work. Nobody wants it. Concord's failure is in that it doesn't understand.
I bet you the same people that wanted this game are the same people that want Season 2 of The Acolyte.
Why play.
What I mean by that is a very small group of people
play other games, or what players want out of a new experience. And by the way, this is not the last time that we're going to see this. This poor investment on the side of Sony, spending hundreds of millions of dollars on a trend without understanding that trend or its audience. It's like watching a popular streamer, seeing that they make a lot of money, going out and buying a computer, high-end camera, microphone, setting up a Twitch account, going live.
Not this guy.
And wondering why you have no viewers. These AAA companies only see the
I know why I have no viewers.
end result, not the road you have to take to be able to get there, nor what the needs of today's gaming market are. Concord doesn't fill a hole in the live service industry. And when you have people that are already committed to other games, invested financially and with time into other games, you have to do something and create something that delivers a value proposition that other games don't deliver. Nobody is looking for a competitive shooter with no
You guys didn't want to be a garbage can? Come on.
teeth, no identity, and monthly movies. Players are, however, looking for something that's similar to what they are already playing, but does it better, or does something entirely new, redefining the genre. This trend of superficial investments and a failure to innovate is not just a problem of Sony or Concord, it's symptomatic of a larger issue within the industry. Major companies are increasingly throwing more and more money into projects that lack a clear identity and fail to address the evolving tastes of gaming audiences. In an era in which gamers are more discerning, they do more research, they watch content creators, formulate distilled opinions before they even make a purchase, and oftentimes have countless options at their fingertips, simply mimicking what worked in the past isn't enough.
You know what else is coming out, right? One, you have that whatever Midnight Sun. Midnight. What was Dr. Disrespect's the studio that was working on whatever that game. That's another shooter like this, right? Then you have Shroud's making a game like this as well. Then there's one more that's also making a game like this. There's so many games that are the exact same. How are they going to distinguish themselves?
The market today
Midnight Society. Thank you, Krebs.
is saturated with titles that offer similar experiences, and without a compelling reason to switch, players are going to remain loyal to the established favorites that they play all the time already. When Sony made this move to invest more into live service games, it was in response to a market
Fragpunk is also coming out as well.
report or a few market reports that were revealing that the majority of players were still playing older live service games. But what they failed to realize is that players aren't playing those older games because there isn't anything new to play. It's because nobody has made a game that's good enough to take.
Yes, that's what I said, right? No one's playing newer games because the older games are fun. They're not as good. The new games are not as good as the old games. And that's why people are playing the older games.
Them away from it. To succeed, new games have to either redefine the genre or offer a fresh perspective that fills unmet needs, something that Concord and many others have failed to do. I've come to the realization that these companies just refuse to change. That's their biggest issue. They're using the same things that they used in the past that worked but don't work any longer. I think the best example we can use for this is the Xbox 360 days. When Gears of War first came out, every single company wanted to make an over-the-shoulder third-person shooter with cover mechanics.
Yep.
And they did, and it worked, and they made a lot of money. But the only reason it worked was because players had less access to games at the time, and there were less
games, less studios, right?
games that were coming out.
That's right.
So there was scarcity. It worked for them. They made a lot of money because of it. But now today, when players have as much access to games as they do, and on top of that, most of these are live service games, so they're invested in them either financially or their friends play them or they just put a lot of time into them and now they have skill to like.
That's another perfect, right? We've talked about that as well. With these live service games, people just don't leave those games. So it's not, people are shocked when you play a single player game, you play the game, you put the game down, and then you don't play that game again, right? You have people that say, oh, it's a dead game, right? No, that's the normal of a game. You play a game, you put the game down, you go play a different game. But now there's so many live service games. There's so many PvP games. There's so many season passes and battle passes and time you have to put into thing that no one's leaving to go play those new games. So the new games come out, and on top of that, they're putting all this other shit into the game. You're like, well, that doesn't look cool or fun. And I'm already invested in this game over here. So why am I leaving this game for your game? Pitch me on it. Show me why I'm leaving this game to go play your game that does the exact same thing that your game does.
Like a skill investment in the game that they don't want to try to relearn a game somewhere else. Well, now you have to make something that really genuinely competes and does something all on its own. And if you don't, they're not going to come play your game. If you want to make the next Fortnite and you start today, well, who's to say by the time that Fortnite comes out that everybody's not playing a Path of Exile extraction shooter mixed with Mario Kart?
That sounds amazing, right? And what he's saying there is that you can't make a game because it's popular today 5 years from now and think that today is going to be the same as tomorrow. This is why stop chasing trends and make a game. Sell a game. Make your original game. Put your heart and soul into whatever you want to make and stop trying to capitalize 5 years too late.
Somebody write that down. EA, Activision, Ubisoft, Blizzard, Xbox, Sony, all these companies used to be innovators within the industry. But over time, they've now just become companies that are remastering, rehashing, reusing ideas over and over while trend chasing, and the rest of the industry is just running laps around them.
And they're shocked. They're like, I don't understand why it didn't sell. I thought people wanted transvestites, transgender garbage cans. Like, what? No, we just want, look, we just want games, man. Just want games. I don't care if your person's purple or red or green or yellow or black or white. I don't care. They don't care who they're sleeping with in the zeros and ones, right? Larian made people sleep with a bear, right? No one canceled the game. Nobody cares. Baldur's Gate 3 was a fantastic game because it was a good game, not because you had sex with a bear.
That's what the kind of failure that Concord is. Keep in mind, they started developing Concord right after Overwatch released. So they literally saw that game and said, let's make that. What are you thinking? What's even worse than this is the fact that these companies have no idea who they're selling to. They're being misled by data. And I want to talk about that. Concord is a bigger failure than Anthem. Let that sink in. Sony saw this game in development and decided that it needed to be theirs and bought the studio for an undisclosed amount of money, likely hundreds of millions of dollars. Then the game was in development for 8 years, so they spent another
8 years in development, and then they bought them in, 2021? I think they bought them in 2021. So they've owned them for 2 years, 3 years now?
$100 million developing it, and now they're left with, as of recording this video, less than 400 players playing the game on Steam. Anthem, one of the biggest gaming disasters in gaming history, sold over 5 million copies, and EA spent $100 million to develop it. Adjust for inflation, and they spent even more, but still made their money back. How does this happen? Why does this happen? How could Sony, a cornerstone of the gaming industry, see a game like Concord and think it's a sound investment? Think that it's the future of live service? Moreover, how could developers of this game come to believe that this game was worth making in the first place? That a generic ripoff of Overwatch with boring and ugly character designs was worth 8 years of development?
Yeah.
And the
Suits know what they're talking about. They're like, yeah, it sounds good. Sounds like a good design. What's Overwatch doing? Oh, Overwatch is having porn created off their characters. Yeah, it'd be really cool if someone made porn with this garbage can.
time of Bungie veterans. Well, it's simple. Social media. All right, now
You wouldn't want to see porn with that? Come on.
try to follow me here. I think that we are in a moment in time in which these studios are doing their market research based off of social media. They catch trends, discussions, and more, distill it into what they believe is the current gaming audience, and then they make a game based off that research. They look at the games that people are playing.
I believe that. I believe they're doing their research off of social media, which is such a small percentage.
And then they look at the people that are playing those games, what they're interested in, what they talk about, how they identify, and they try to make a game based off that audience. It's a core principle of marketing, finding a target audience, understanding them, and delivering a product or service to the broader section of that audience. However, what many of them fail to realize is that people that are on social media are not the people that they are in real life. While it's true social media drives engagement, it's not indicative of consumer behavior. If consumers did buy based on what they said on social media, then nobody would be buying gasoline, fast food would be going out of business, and none of us would be using cell phones or anything made in third world countries. But that's not what happens.
Right.
This disconnect between social media personas and actual consumer behavior is a critical flaw in the approach that many of these game developers are taking today. The idea that you can capture the essence of a successful game by analyzing online discussions and trends is fundamentally misguided. Social media platforms amplify certain voices and trends, often giving a skewed perspective on what the broader community actually values. What gets retweeted or goes viral doesn't necessarily translate into purchasing decisions or long-term engagement. For Concord, it seems like the development team fell into this trap of designing a game based on distorted signals. The characters, aesthetics, and the gameplay mechanics all feel like they were chosen to appeal to a trend on social media rather than what players genuinely wanted. The result is a game that released 8 years too late, lacked depth, originality, and most importantly, a true connection to an audience that it was supposed to serve. This failure highlights a growing issue within the games industry, the over-reliance on data-driven decisions devoid of any creative insight. Data can be incredibly powerful. It can be the best tool you can use to inform and support innovative ideas, but when it becomes the sole driver for creative decisions, it can lead to products that feel manufactured, pandering, soulless, and ultimately unappealing. Gamers today are more discerning than ever, and they can see when a game is being marketed and designed by a committee rather than a passionate creative vision.
This is why I always say, make a game, sell a game. Okay? Don't listen to, look, if you want to make a live service game, and if you're making a single player game, make a game, sell a game. If you're making a PvP game, if you're making whatever, make the game that you want to make. If you want to make adjustments and stuff after the game comes out because you're supporting it and doing live service, cool. You want to buff or nerf certain things, cool. But fundamentally changing the characters because someone's offended or because of whatever the way they look is so stupid. Okay? And changing the landscape. The artists make pictures. You, the consumer, buy a picture. You don't have the artist come over to your house and say, hey, can you change the picture that I bought from you? Because I really think you should do this instead. No, the artist makes the art. You stare at the art, or in this case, play the art, or read the art, or watch the art. Let the artist be the artists. Let the people do their job. But that's not what it is. Now there's businessmen involved with it going, this would look a lot better if there was a yellow pigmented bunny. 95% of the people really like bunnies, and bunnies are hot, right? And this is what they do. Okay, not speaking of Bunny from the first Descendant, because she is hot.
Concord is not a game of vision, and the industry needs to open its eyes. It's crazy to think that Concord started its development directly following the release of Overwatch, meaning that they saw the game and said, we're going to make a game just like that. That was the
right, which is the wrong thing to do, right? Which is the wrong thing to do. You look at Overwatch and don't go, hey, I want to make Overwatch. You look at a game and go, hey, look what Overwatch is doing. Let's make a game like Overwatch. Let's use that as a template, but not make Overwatch with shitty characters.
first game that the studio wanted to make. And even with all the changes in the industry, all the different games that we saw come out over the time since Overwatch's release and different popular trends in live service, they didn't think to adapt any of those things or change their game in a meaningful way.
Nope.
What did they expect the reception to be when you release something that's already
expected all the money? Made a game just like Overwatch. Let's just sit back, wait for the cash to roll in.
already out there in the first place? You have a message. They're delivering a message. That's we have to keep that in mind. There's a lot of games that do that now. A lot of games have a message to deliver. Funny thing is that players aren't looking to buy messages. They're looking to buy games. That's not to say that you can't deliver a message. Great games are an awesome vehicle to be able to deliver a meaningful and impactful message, but you got to make a great game first.
Yep.
Something new, something different, something that entices players to want to buy it and play it and enjoy it, because that's the most important thing, is that they have to buy it and they also have to enjoy it. Otherwise, your message is never going to get across. The other thing is, too, is that, I didn't really bring up anything about the character designs. I don't really think it's like a worthwhile discussion, to be honest. Like, I get it. I understand why people wouldn't want to play it because of how the characters look. One thing I will say with that is that why is it that every single time I see a game that wants to do inclusive character designs, that they are wholly uninspired, tokenized, and hideous?
Yep. Because they make a character. I'm going to try to get in my head into what I think they want to make the character look like. They want to make the character not big, not too big, but big enough. They want to make it good looking, but not good looking enough. They want to make it where it's athletic, but not athletic enough, right? They can't pick and choose what they want because they want to make sure that everyone feels like when they look at that character, that they feel like it's them. It's a part of them. Well, I have like that, and I'm like this, and it's exactly right. And when you make a game for everyone, you're making a game for nobody, okay? When you make a character for everyone, you're making a character for no one. You've got to put some effort into it. You got to look good, okay? I'm sorry, it might sound shallow, all right? Doesn't matter how pretty or how ugly you are. Everyone puts to get a mate in life, you have to make yourself look presentable so you can attract that other opposite sex or same sex to bring them in. So now when you're playing a video game, why would I play an ugly character, right? Why would I play an ugly character? I wouldn't. I would look for a better looking character to play.
Like, if I was being represented by a game like this, I would be offended.
You never get offended.
How is it that a game like Baldur's Gate 3 can come out, take it all 100 steps forward, full, entire...
Remember, though, Legendary, they told you not to expect to be like the standard of Baldur's Gate, right? Even though that was the standard back in the day.
Identity, expression, you can bang a bear.
See, he brought up the bear. You could bang a bear in Baldur's Gate 3. Nobody cared, right? Because they're just like, yeah, it's a cool game.
That's incredible. Why? Awesome game. Incredible game. Incredible game. It takes the industry and your message 100 steps forward, only for every single other game to try to co-opt the same thing and take it 100 steps back every single time. It's embarrassing, is what it is. It's embarrassing. It's hilarious to me that games journalists are looking at this, baffled as to why this game failed. How could it fail? Guys, we need to give this game a chance, man.
I gotta give it a chance. You guys are racist, sexist, and misogynistic because you didn't want to play this game.
Gotta give it a chance. But it's so funny because then I come to realize, especially after reading a lot of their articles over time, that they're falling into the exact same hole that the games industry is. That they're paying too much attention to social media, and they think that social media actually dictates what people do in real life. And it doesn't. It doesn't. It does not dictate consumer behavior. It might drive up attention around a game, but that doesn't necessarily translate to sales. And what people say and what people do online also isn't a huge indicator of whether or not they're going to be interested in buying a product. It's just crazy that people would think otherwise. Everybody knows that there are a completely different person on the internet. What is going on? Everybody just completely lost common sense?
Yes. Yes, they have, Legendary.
I say this like I want them to learn, but I don't, because it's like the freest content ever.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
And I love it. But yeah, this is a big one, man. This is gonna hurt. And to be honest with you, this actually might be the lesson that the industry itself needed to see. A game like this, with that much money spent into it, failing this hard.
I don't think they're learning a lesson. I don't. The video game industry is about 5 to 8 years behind the movie industry. The movie industry is just learning the lesson now about movies won't make money if you have the message that you're trying to send to us, right? Movies bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb. This year alone, we have 3 major bombs in the movie industry, all because of stupidity. Okay, 1, you have Madam Web. Nobody asked for that. Borderlands. Nobody asked for what you gave us there. And the one that just came out, The Crow, that nobody asked for. Okay, flop after flop after flop. Okay, Lionsgate has 2 of those 3 films. Okay, Lionsgate made Borderlands, and they also made The Crow. Both those movies combined total have less than what the Marvels made in its opening day or opening weekend. Okay, so it's ridiculous. The video game industry is behind. They're behind with Netflix compared to Game Pass, about 5 to 7 years. Okay, the video game industry, about what they're doing with inclusivity and all this other stuff, they're 5 years ahead, behind the movie industry, because whatever's happening now is the starting point, right? What you've seen the last 2 years, okay, in the video game industry has been 5 years plus in the movie industry. And now the movie industry is finally turning around and saying, hey, we're not making money off of these people. That's because those people don't spend money, okay? You're making your products for people that don't give a shit. Meanwhile, the people that did give a shit and cared about your products, you don't care about them. And now they're starting to make that shift. Video games is just landing now because these games were delayed for 2 years, okay, because of COVID and whatnot. And now they're starting to come out, and you're like, who asked for this? Who asked for this?
We haven't seen a AAA game fail this hard in a long, long time. I don't think I've ever seen a game fail this bad. This might be the lesson that turns them around and goes, you know what? Maybe we should just cool our jets. Especially because, think about it like this. These live service games are a gamble. They're a massive gamble. You don't know if it's going to do well. You don't know if it's going to be worth the investment in the first place. Yeah, you can make a ton of money off of it, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's actually going to work out, or people are even going to stick with it in the first place.
Correct.
Yet all these companies want to keep gambling on it.
They keep gambling. You know why? You know why? It's because people keep buying pre-orders and 3 days early access and microtransactions of $20 skins and battle passes and season passes and all of this stuff. So yeah, it's worth the attempt, because even if they lose $200 million off of this, they've made that tenfold off the other game. Remember what I tell you in the film industry, 10 movies from a studio a year, okay, on average. 7 will lose money, like completely just bankrupt a company, okay? But 2 of the movies make enough money to cover the costs of those movies, and 1 movie is a blockbuster that gives them the profit that they're looking for. It's a numbers game. Same thing with this. This is why studios own, right? For the developers, the studio itself, this is devastating, right? They'll lose money or whatever. But Sony made so many games. They publish so many games. If it's live service, if they're not publishing games, well, they're making money off of the microtransactions of these things. And this is tenfold, okay, of what just a normal game that $40 purchase could make.
They're like crypto bros. It's crazy. Hopefully they learn a lesson and they just go back to realizing that, players just want high quality, meaningful experiences. Look at the games that have blown up over the last few years. They are not the games that you would expect to do so, outside of maybe Hogwarts Legacy. Just a few years ago, it was like 5 years ago or so now, like EA came out and they were the ones that were saying nobody's interested in single player games anymore.
No one's in single player games, EA. And yet they made how many games single player? And how many did well? And how many bombed, right?
So that's the reason why they wanted to walk away from single player games. Yet we see Black Myth Wukong explode. Baldur's Gate 3 exploded. Pal World exploded. It's obvious that these companies have no idea what players want, and they're just running off of bad information and bad talent.
And the problem here is, now that everyone sees like Wukong doing well, or Baldur's Gate 3 doing well, that's what they do. They go, well, this sold well, and this is what they want. And they miss the point of why people like certain games and why they don't like certain games. So now, 4 years from now, we're going to get a bunch of games like Baldur's Gate 3 or a bunch of games like Wukong, okay, or a bunch of games like Pal World, because that's the way the suits operate. They're like, well, analysts say this is what it made the money, so let's take this and put it in, right? Well, can we add microtransactions?
Simple as that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below. Tell me where you think the industry is failing. Tell me if you guys are checking out Deadfall. I actually got to play it a little bit. It's actually a lot of fun. Or Deadfall. Deadlock is what it was. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. If you guys want to watch me on Twitch, talk about gaming news and whatever else, play video games, follow me on Twitch.
There you go. Give him a like. There you go. Yeah, I mean, it's idiotic. It really is, about what the industry is trying to do with the games. I mean, look at the stories that we have, right? We covered Greedfall. Greedfall they're going to go on strike. That company's still going to release that game like nothing's happened. No problems there. Okay, you got companies like Ubisoft and Massive putting a patch out after they did 3-day early access, so to negate the early access of the people that paid for the game early. You have what was that? What was the other story we had? Oh, Blue Protocol, right? That's shutting down, right? It's so crazy, so crazy. Eclipse Brainchild says, I just wanted the characters to believe that they're real, not forced down my throat. A slew of passive-aggressive comments meant to be humorous. Whoever approved the character design should be blacklisted from the industry. Gaming, not sure if it's just saying I'm just waiting for a stupid comping by people. Also, Firewalk dies, and the business bad studios are relocate for the fire people. I don't know if they're gonna get closed down, right? I think they'll pivot first. I think they'll give them free to play, see how many people come in, buy microtransactions, recoup some of the money and whatnot, and then Sony will be like, okay, you're gonna make what we tell you to make. I don't know if they close the studio down. People will lose their jobs, that's for sure. Titan says, sad, this video didn't mention Foam Stars. Yeah. Someone said earlier that Foam Stars is free to play now. He says, for the movie industry, to pay an actor $30 million for a movie, they obviously have way too much hope that they're also going to be able to return. Gaming industry got to learn this lesson. The copy without the passion. Yes. They just copy it with nothing. They're just like, oh yeah, this will work. Brainchild says, just always framed horribly. The story is trash, or the characters models are fugly, or they make good story, but microtransactions for more story. Yeah. I just have this gut feeling that Concord got made off of DEI tax breaks / funds and was required to release under those funds agreed. Maybe, Krebsy? 8 years, I just feel like with 8 years to make a game like that is just way too long. Like if you were making a MMO, if you were making a Destiny-esque type of game where you have story and whatnot, like a live service type of thing, maybe. Like, you can't tell me that game took 8 years. I don't even think that game took 3 years. I think they changed shit behind the scenes multiple times, and obviously we don't know anything about it. We're not privy to that information. But there's no way Concord itself, in the form that it is right now, took 8 years. I don't believe that. I can't believe that. Freddy says Foam Stars is going free to play in October. When did that come out? February? Did you imagine, Altern? I think we mentioned it like 2 weeks ago, right? That the Concord guys, they left Bungie. Or no, it was last week. They leave Bungie to go start their own studio. They get bought by Sony after Bungie gets bought by Sony. And then they move them back to Bungie to make more Destiny. Did you imagine the hell? Those people are like, I don't want to be on Destiny anymore. Let's go start our own studio. Okay, we got bought by Sony. Yes. Hey, guys, you're working on Destiny 3. No! That would be phenomenal from this point of view. Cool Bama says, with all of this going on in the industry, I have been able to focus on my backlog the last couple of years. You can thank what game was it? On Game Pass? Oh, you could thank Avowed for pushing back to next year so you have plenty of time for your backlogs. Travis says 30. I think I will never know what companies do behind the scenes, but we all know what we see as nothing more than the dollar sign. I said Concord will go free to play in 2 months. I'm going to stick with that. They're going to eat it. They're going to eat it for a bit. And then they have something in the works behind the scenes. You know what I mean? And then I would say by October, they'll go free to play. Tail end of September? I mean, it just came out, so I guess August is September. Yeah, I'll say 2 months, but really it's like a month and a half. It'll be like October when it goes free to play. You know what the big thing might be? What about this? Are you ready for this? What about if Concord goes to all systems? What about if Concord gets on to Game Pass? What about that? Think that's possible? You think that Sony will swallow their pride? Oh, no, it wouldn't save it. They wouldn't save it, Krebsy. But going free to play, they would try to make as much money as possible back. And I wonder if they would put it on it. Alter says, thanks to Avowed, I finally got time to play Concord. Titan says, another Borderlands prediction by 30. Free to play all platforms. All platforms. That's right, Vandal. I think it might go everywhere. And then that number will go from a whopping 241 24-hour peak to like 700. They'll beat their all-time peak. That's exactly what would happen, though, Travis. People were like, yeah, see, we got Indiana Jones and you got Concord. Yeah, but we gave you a shitty game. Z says, Game Pass says no. Sony walks up to Phil Spencer. Hiroki Totoki, best name in the biz. Okay, walks up to Phil Spencer and says, okay, you give us a couple bucks. We'll give you Concord on Game Pass. And Phil's like, okay. And they're like, really? They're like, yeah, that's fine. How much are you going to give us? Here's 10,000. They're like, all right, we'll take it. Take it. Even if the game plays free, who's going to buy skins for those characters? Well, if the gun plays, if the game is fun to play, but the characters are shitty looking, I don't know why you would buy a skin regardless, because it's a first-person game anyway. But that's just me. But maybe if it's just so much fun that they give you cool skins, maybe people will be like, you know what, I'll pay $10 to make my character look better. Look, there's a lot of stupid people out there. Right? There's people that buy 3-day early access for $130 and don't play early access. Right? So come on now, Vandal. Game Pass doesn't have standards. They put Redfall out there when it was $70 and they put it on there. Knowing it was broke, buggy, and unfinished. They're like, yeah, let's put it out there. Well, then I'm not talking to you, Travis. If you paid $120, which is $130, and you're playing early access, well, then you're not stupid then, are you? Because you're actually playing early access. What else we got here? Final Fantasy, or Square Enix, I should say, is doubling down on Xbox releases. Final Fantasy 14 producer says. You're absolutely right. They already bought it. It's a different situation. I'm just saying they just don't have standards, right? They could have said that Redfall's still in the works and not put it out there, but they put it out there, is what I'm saying. Come on, Ghost Fixer. Roic says that's their plan all along. Make them look as bad so you're compelled to buy the skins to make them look better. Yeah, Suicide Squads did that. Marvel's Avengers did that. Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Yeah, right here. Reported by IGN. This is from August 28th, which is today. Square Enix has doubled down on Xbox releases. Final Fantasy 14 producer says. Final Fantasy 16 producer and 14 director have said that Square Enix is looking to double down on Xbox releases after its focuses on PlayStation exclusivity led to financial dip. Oh, imagine that. Imagine people, and I'm not saying all PlayStation people say this, but imagine people in the PlayStation world say that Xbox fans don't buy games, yet people on PlayStation are not buying games, right? They're not buying games. Hence why Square Enix is like, we need to make money. And there's not enough people over on PlayStation, even though it's the #1 selling console in the world, not enough people are playing our games or buying our games. So what Final Fantasy 14 released on Xbox, Microsoft game CEO Phil Spencer spent a lot of time and a lot of effort to put it on, a lot of hard work into making it reality. So we like to make the best of further deepen the relationship with Xbox gamers moving forward, right? Phil Spencer probably like moved bridges for them. He's like, yeah, we really want your business. Come on over. We're going to give you whatever you need. Xbox historically struggled to breach into Japanese video game market where its two biggest rivals are PlayStation and Nintendo are based. And he said Japanese developers from focusing on Xbox as a platform. However, at Square Enix, we have been changing our policy and continued. So now we're moving towards a policy releasing our games on multiple platforms bases and really want to make as many people as possible to play our titles. That's because I think, again, I'm speculating here, I think Square Enix sees the future on what Xbox is trying to do, right? I'm not saying there's a better market or whatever for them. What I'm saying is they're seeing that Xbox might not be the best console to make for, but they're adapting and changing now. So when Microsoft is has Game Pass on multiple platforms on Fire Sticks. They just announced the other day that more Fire Sticks have it now and more places you can play, right? So I think it opened up to another 200,000 or 200 million devices, if I'm not mistaken. So now there's more devices out there, and they're like, well, these are potential buyers. These are potential buyers or players that can play our game, so let's do it, right? So, however, Square Enix has been changing the policy. It says with Final Fantasy XIV as a starting point, we do want to release more Square Enix games on Xbox, and we'll be doing more of the titles released on Xbox, so I hope players will look forward to the future of things that come in the platform. The shift of strategy arrived after a huge fall in profits was revealed in May of 2024 when Square Enix declared it would shift to multi-platform strategy through a 3-year plan to reboot the company. Though several games have arrived on Xbox and Nintendo platforms over the years, PlayStation has been the focus of Square Enix, and it's releases the likes of Final Fantasy VII Remake Trilogy, Final Fantasy XVI on PlayStation exclusively, and both of these were well received but failed to meet financial expectations, right? So Final Fantasy XVI was finally officially announced on PC after a lot of back and forth. However, with September 17th, 2024 release date, recently echoed that the comments to by saying the future of games is the franchise will likely come to PC at launch. There you go. That's huge, right? So Square Enix even sees it. Xbox is saying games everywhere day one. Where you want to play it, Square Enix is like, we're on board with that. PlayStation, not so much. Nintendo, not so much. They're still doing their business model. Their business model is consoles, right? Nintendo is consoles. They sell software, massive amounts of software. They don't sell consoles anymore, right? They do. Microsoft, right? Microsoft still sells consoles, but that's not their driving factor. Their driving factor is play the games where you want to play more. They would rather get $10 from somebody. They would rather take $10 from everybody than $70 from a small group of people. You see what I'm saying? They would rather take $10 from everybody than $70 from 1,000 or 1 million people, whatever it is. Oh, they do buy games. Call of Duty and Call of Duty and Madden. That's it. Got to throw in college football now. You got to throw in college football. Vandal says, remember that one PlayStation stands used to say Square was basically a first-party studio? Yeah, those were good times. Fifth Horseman says, paying for early access is stupid unless the games where you can get ahead like an MMO expansion. Well, no, I don't think it's stupid I think it's stupid, Horseman, if you buy the game, it comes out on Friday or Thursday. You buy it on Monday, but you don't play it till Friday. That's stupid. Giving them extra money up front and not playing the game early access is dumb. Okay? If you want early access for a live service game, cool. Early access is to get the game early access so you play it. If you don't play it during those early access or play it for a couple of hours, you could have just waited the 3 extra days, 4 extra days, and you would have saved yourself an additional $40. Yeah, the article says that Square Enix was disappointed in the Final Fantasy 16 sales and the remake. Let me see. Yeah, right here. Platforms over the years. PlayStation is focused on Square release and likes the Final Fantasy trilogy. PlayStation exclusive. Both were well received, but failed to meet financial expectations. So both Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy 16 did not meet the financial expectations. Warbear says, I'll probably get the next purchase of Space Marines. I will get the early access version, probably because I want to play it ASAP. Great. Play it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm waiting for Microsoft to buy EA so they have all the most popular games selling on PlayStation 5. Well, there was talks a couple years ago they were going to buy them. I don't know if they would now, but that'd be devastating. It'd be devastating for the industry. I think Final Fantasy only sold like 3 million copies, Jones, if I'm not mistaken. Lurker says, it's not early access. You pay extra to play day one. Let's stop calling it early access. I mean, so then if we're calling it day one, so then video games are not $70 then, they're $130. You're not paying for early access. You're paying for day one $130, and then it goes on massive discount just 3 days later to $70. Is that what you're saying, Lurker? Crowd says even Sony reported that their AAA bangers aren't selling as much as they want them to. I mean, it's got to be really shitty. Okay, I'm talking about as a business, not as a gamer. I'm talking about as a business, right? Where you're leading the market in consoles, right? You're leading the market in consoles over your competitor, like 3-1. Right? You have 60 mil, maybe it's 2-1, whatever. You have 60 million PlayStations out there. They have 28 to 35 million consoles out there. And yet a game comes out and you're struggling to sell to a quarter of your player base. That's got to hurt. It's got to hurt. That means you don't know your player base, right? Nintendo knows their player base, right? They have like 150 million Switches out there, okay? And they have 67 million copies of Mario Kart out there. They got 50 million copies of Mario whatever. They have 35 million copies of Zelda, right? So, yeah, they have double what PlayStation has, but they know their market. They know that these games that are selling 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, where PlayStation is selling 7 million, 11 million. Meanwhile, Xbox is not even selling, right? They're not even selling. They have 28 to 35 million consoles out there, and they're just racking in billions of dollars a year from subscriptions. Says, yes, $130 games and exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, so there you go. So think about that, right? Day one, and I kind of agree, Lurker, right? Because day one is no longer day one. Day one is, 3 days later. You pay $130 to get day one access, and you pay almost half for 3 days later. And with Ubisoft games, if you just wait 2 weeks after that, you get it for half off of that. So within 2 weeks' time, it goes from like 140 or 130 to like 40. Crazy. D says, going digital, they hurt themselves because they're always a product to play regular Joe who doesn't have time and doesn't have to buy the game anymore and wait. Some of those games just cost too much. They can take too long to make. A failure of those games is catastrophic. This is why even Sony is slowing down on the release of those games. Sure, but they have to, just like the movie industry. The movie industry was well over and inflated with their prices. Okay, and now the movies that they're making are not making that money. Now they're trying to adjust, right? So there's movies coming out like Godzilla -1 that cost $6 million and made a shit ton of money, right? You don't need to make. There's another movie that came out that was like $50 million. It made good money as well, right? You don't need these budgets of $300 million. Now with video games, the video games are doing the exact same thing. Video games are costing $250 million, $310 million, $350 million, $400 million. We don't even know what Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to cost. Right? And sure, Grand Theft Auto 6 could make that money back or will make that money back, but they're the outliers. Everybody else is, if they make a $300 million game, sometimes that's not coming back. How much did Concord cost? 100 mil? 80 mil? 100 mil? They ain't making that back. Day one is PC. It's happening. I mean, I say it's going to happen. Everyone's like, it's never going to happen. I'm like, it's going to happen. Water says 1.6 billion. You think it's going to make 1.6 billion? That's how much it's cost. I guess both, huh? Well, that's true, Eclipse. Yeah, 10 million. 10 million copies sold because of PC and console. And Spider-Man by itself sold 7, and it took them a lot longer than a week. I originally became a Sony fan because of Uncharted series. I'm trying to think the first game I played on a PlayStation. I can't think of it. What comes to mind is PlayStation is PlayStation 2 with Grand Theft Auto 3. But I had a PlayStation 1. I can't remember why I got a PlayStation. I want to say it was Siphon Filter. I want to say it's Siphon Filter. Let's see. See if it jogs my memory. Spider-Man was one of them. God, I remember Driver. Tomb Raider. I played Tomb Raider on... I can't remember. Was it a Metal Gear Solid? I can't remember why I got a PlayStation 1. They just bought it because it was a system. I don't think there was a game that I liked. See, there's another list. I play a lot of baseball games and stuff like that. I'm looking through this list, and I can't... There's not one game I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I bought a PlayStation. I think I just bought it just because it was a game. It was a system. Crowd says it makes sense now that they released the Last of Us games so many times. They need that money. Yeah, I mean, and look, they're raising the prices overseas for their console. That means they're either adapting now for like what I said earlier about when the PlayStation 5 Pro comes out, looking to compare it to like it's this price and then PlayStation 5 Pro is just a little bit more, or they're really hurting and they need to get their sales up. But 4 years into the cycle is kind of strange to me why they raised the price. PlayStation 5 Pro will be a dongle. Could you imagine in that world, Water? I mean, obviously it's not, but can you just imagine the day it happens where PlayStation says, we have a dongle? Are the ponies, are they going to be ecstatic by this? Or are they going to be like, are they just going to eat their humble pie, right? You see what I'm saying? Are they going to be like, dude, I can't wait for the dongle? Or are they going to be like, yeah, we're just ahead of the game and, you know, just eat it up? No, they wouldn't riot. They would still buy it, Water, because they were told to buy it. Like, all my games are on there. That's the next one. That's where we're going. Every time, though, I'll turn. Every single time something does increase, right? Even if Xbox raises their prices for their consoles, it looks better for them because they're putting everything behind Game Pass and everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, play anywhere. Play whatever you want, wherever you want. Sarge, what did we have for the PlayStation 1? What did we play on PlayStation 1? Yeah, I just don't remember that game, Obama. You know what I mean? Like, I have all the systems. I just can't remember a game on the PlayStation 1. PlayStation 2, there's so many. So many on PlayStation 2. Right? It's hard, Water. It's like, what did I play on PlayStation 1? Now, I was never a Spyro guy. Was never a Spyro guy. I literally think I just bought it. I think we bought it just because we wanted the system. It was cheap. I mean, cheap, but I had money then. Yeah, I wouldn't have bought it for Gran Turismo. You know what I mean? Oh, that's right. We bought PlayStation 1 later. We were already playing the games. And when PlayStation 2 came out, we got it day one. So I am right. We just bought it to buy it. There wasn't a game that I had to have or play. No, I think SOCOM was on 2. Yeah, that was 2. That was on this bad boy. On this bad, I still have the memory card sticks and the memory sticks in here. Right? This to me was one of my favorite consoles. I played so much on the PlayStation 2. That and the 360. The 360 and the PlayStation 2, man. Those two systems were just banger after banger. The vampire game. No, the only microtransactions back then was just the games themselves. You used to buy so many games. So many games. Now I gotta worry if I play a game, I'm like, oh, new patch came in. Deleted my file. Sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry. Is it Legacy of Kain? Was it this one? Is this the game? There you go. See? That's better than the fucking Google. Never played this. Never played this. Oh, is this the sequel? Oh yeah, this is Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. This is the original. Never played this. Is he wearing a mask because they didn't want to move his mouth? The character still looks better than KVS when it's not in pre-rendered cutscene. Yeah, I'm assuming the voice actor, they didn't have to move his voice or to move his mouth. Now she looks better. Altern. Look at that character model. That looks good for 2000. What are we talking about? 90, 98, 99 thousand. The days of it doesn't matter if they were represented or not. They're just models of a character in a video game. The days. The days. Who would have thought? All right, it's almost 1 o'clock. That's going to do it for us tonight, or this morning. We'll be back tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, for some more Borderlands 2. We're not going to play Outlaws tonight. I'm going to turn on Outlaws right now and see if it updated, when it updated, if I have the right proper one, if it affected me in any way, shape, or form. And if it doesn't, then maybe we'll play it tomorrow after the podcast, and then we'll play it this weekend as well. But we'll continue playing Borderlands 2 with Sarge and the boys tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. Appreciate it very much. You guys have a great rest of your afternoon, your evening, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Check out some of our other videos. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.